challenge.
Well, it's tricky to say, Ali. The problem with recreational players is you don't know what to expect out of them in terms of their style of play. So are they going to be really volatile and firing their chips in there, or are they going to be really hesitant and risk-averse?
100,000 in chips in front of each player to begin. The button in front of Bill Perkins. Blinds are 2 and 400. The ante is 50. Olivier started the party with a raise to 1,200 and has been called by Bill's King 10, Tony's Ace 10, and Michael Singh can't resist with Deuce 5 suited. He's looking to lay a little zesty beat on somebody as we go to the flop four-way.
Yeah, no surprise that this is such a multi-way pot. Amateur players are a little more risk-averse pre-flop, don't like to re-raise as much, tend to call, as you see with the King 10, the Ace 10, whereas a lot of players would re-raise.
Queen 9-3 rainbow on the flop. Couple of checks in front of Olivier, who comfortably fires 2,600 with top pair and a king kicker. Perkins lays down the gut shot straight draw.
Yeah, a little surprising. He's in position. He had a draw to the nuts. You know, Tony's going to continue here, but he doesn't really have much at all. I'd rather see Bill make the call than Tony.
Yeah, no doubt, especially given that Bill would have been in position, whereas Tony is out of position.
Right.
Heads up to the turn, and that turn is the 4 of diamonds. Doesn't change much.
Yeah, so no help to Tony. I'm not sure how he can really win this pot. You know, Olivier is not going to back down. Great board for his king-queen, so he's going to bet again.
8,000 into the pot of 10-250, and that'll draw the curtain on the first hand, sending the chips over to Olivier Bousquet. How do you feel about winning the first hand in a tournament? You feel like it helps establish table image?
It definitely helps you establish some momentum, and in a re-entry tournament, it's nice to think that you cannot get knocked out. You don't have to face ponying up another $100,000 in the near future, whereas you can knock anybody else out.
All right, as the action continues, Olivier takes a peek at 2 10s and raises again. Same amount, 1,200, 3 times the big blind. Couple of nickels for Bill Perkins, who calls from the small blind for an extra 1,000, and 2 hooks for Tony Guglietti.
And he peels his cards in a very casual way. You don't see a lot of pros do the double thumb peel.
Punish him.
And I like that he's raising here, but I'm also interested in how big he makes it.
And Tony from the big blind has made it just 2,800 total.
Yeah, I would have preferred to see him make it around 4.5 to 5,000. The stacks are really deep. There's a caller in between. He's got one of the best hands in poker. I think he wants more money in this pot.
Yeah, and I feel as though one of the goals of re-raising here would be to either narrow the field or gain information, neither of which are served by a raise of that amount.
Correct. He essentially bloats the pot, and he's out of position against one of the professionals at the table, so this almost makes his life more difficult.
3 pocket pairs, all looking to hit a set on the flop. A 5 right away in the window with a couple of 3s behind it. Bill Perkins has a full house, wraps the table, indicating a check. And now Tony and Olivier are in a world of trouble. Tony committing 7,000.
I mean, this is just an ideal flop for Bill. Not only did he flop a full house, but both of his opponents feel confident in their hands on 5-3-3.
With those over pairs, Olivier just calls the 7,000. And now what will Perkins do?
Bill has an option here. He can raise, he can call. Both are pretty reasonable.
Hello,
And he is going to raise it up.
Leroy Jenkins is here, ladies and gentlemen.
Leroy Jenkins.
Leroy Jenkins.
Dun, dun, dun.
Leroy Jenkins, one of the most inspirational people in the history of YouTube video gaming clips.
Or as they say online, Leroy Jenkins!
Jenkins!
Was that World of Warcraft that originated in?
Oh, it may be.
Only in St. Kitts. What the?
Tony has made the call for an extra 15. Olivier has done the same, and this pot has quickly swelled up to 75,000 in chips. Here comes the turn card.
Oh, wow.
And it's a 10. Olivier has 10s full of trays over Bill Perkins' 5s full.
And Bill just instantly goes all in with the flick of the
sorry,
chips.
can I redo that?
He's thrilled to be all in.
Leroy!
This is a disaster for Bill.
Is all in.
It's not official until he's Leroyed it. And the remainder of his stack, over 81,000, right into the middle. Tony knows something's awry. He lays it down, and it's back over to Olivier.
I call.
He makes the call.
Oh my God.
And Bill Perkins has just lit a match to $100,000.
I refuse to show my hand.
Oh my
I'm
God,
rebuying.
that's so sick.
Now, he isn't drawing dead.
No.
He could hit the
rebuying.
4th 5 in the deck on the river here. Will he do it?
No 5s left?
No.
Sorry, Bill. Chips.
It's a jack. Tony would have made jacks full and won the
Chips.
pot, but instead, Olivier Bousquet has just taken down a massive pot here.
I felt like he might have like jacks or kings. He had tens.
Whatever, dude. He's got tens. I mean, he's got tens.
Yeah, it's not that good deal.
I've never seen somebody lose $100,000 that fast and be so nonchalant about it. He's just like, next.
I hit the jack. Son of a gun.
Oh, he had two jacks?
If only came out before.
Oh, my God.
Leroy Jenkins is out. Gone.
Oh, something tells me Leroy Jenkins is not out.
He's temporarily absent.
Yeah, Bill Perkins, the de facto ambassador of this event, resident of St. Kitts, gets the dreaded red wash, but something tells me we're going to be clearing that off his icon there shortly.
Just peels a 10 on the turn for all the chips. Luck box. It's very rare that he's in with the worst hand. You know, the one time he's in with the worst hand in like 4 years, he just gets it. You know, I think it's about 4 years since he's had the worst hand.
Bill, you lasted one orbit.
It was a fun orbit, by the way. It was a lot of fun.
It was fun.
I'm going in for more. I'm a glutton for punishment.
There's no doubt about it. You're going straight back in.
I'm going straight back in.
All right, well, get back in there and
Get
keep
back in there.
entertaining us. Good luck.
I'm switching hats. It was the hat. I'm switching hats, and it had to be the hat. Now we mean business. Where am I going?
Just a second, Bill.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like tripling up.
Well, just a couple of hands into the action, and Bill Perkins has already dusted off his first $100,000 bullet. But it's pretty safe to say that he'll be back for another dose, right,
It's
Tony?
fine. I think he's got 100K in his pants pocket.
Alpha 8 is brought to you by ClubWPT.com. Fun, exciting poker you can play for free.
Every player has to start somewhere. Begin your path to poker greatness. Log on to ClubWPT.com and play for free. Become a VIP member and enjoy insider benefits. Plus, take a shot at a share of $100,000 in cash and prizes every month. Win at ClubWPT.com, but never lose a dime playing poker guaranteed.
What the?
Now tell us about that hand with Bill. Did you have any idea he was that strong?
No, I mean, yeah, definitely not. Since I called with just two tens, like on that type of board, 5-3-3. I mean, Bill kind of tricked me a little bit, I guess, because there just aren't that many good hands that he can have, and if he does have one of the really good hands, it's very, very hard for someone else to beat him. So a lot of players would kind of not play it as strongly as he did.
I'm all in.
I call.
Oh, my God.
But it was still a big raise, and I got really, really lucky that obviously they hit a 10, and then he actually had a full house, so I won a big pot.
You got paid off.
I did, yeah, I did.
Well, Olivier certainly isn't one to be luck averse, although that's not what he tends to rely on as we get a look at 11 players, each of whom are in for $100,000, with the exception of Bill Perkins, who's on his second bullet. Now, Bill drew a seat at the outer table, which means that Jason Mercier is being welcomed to the feature table, or Tony, perhaps welcomed is the wrong word.
Yeah, this is pretty much worst case scenario for the feature table. Jason is one of the best young tournament players in the game. He's had big success on the tour, even at the high stakes and super high stakes tournament level. So he is not going to be affected by the stakes we're playing for today.
He is exactly to the left of Antonio Esfandiari and Olivier Bousquet, respectively, which may change the way they approach pre-flop play now.
I agree. I think that they will be a little more averse to just calling pre-flop when they risk Jason re-raising behind them.
King 9 suited for Michael Singh, who limps in for 400, blind still at 2 and 400, ante of 50. The invitation was accepted by Olivier and Antonio with pocket deuces and 5 deuce offsuit respectively, but Tony says, I want to play for more, and makes it 1,200 to go after Jason Mercier had limped in with the King 10 offsuit.
And Ollie, we talked before about raising larger pre-flop to discourage so many players from calling, and you see Tony making the same mistake here. He's only gone 3 times the size of their limp. Everybody, of course, going to come along.
The world is not enough.
You need to increase the size of that pre-flop raise from 3 times the big blind when you have all those limpers in front. Flop comes out 5-5-4, trip 5s for Antonio Esfandiari.
Yeah, I was wondering why he was playing this hand pre-flop, but I guess we've just found out why.
Clairvoyance dunce,
That's
duh.
it, easily.
Michael Singh is firing 4,000 with complete air here, and Antonio makes the call.
Came to fire today, huh, Singh?
You're firing me.
You're firing.
I'm getting the pink slip.
Turn card is a king.
That's bad.
That's bad for Michael
That's
Singh.
real bad for Mike.
He doesn't think so, though.
He's gonna keep betting here.
About half the pot, 7 grand.
Antonio has his options here between raise and call. I think I would rather just raise because Mike doesn't seem like the type of guy who wants to fold if he's connected with this board. But also, if he's just stone bluffing, then Antonio wants to give him that opportunity.
You're killing me.
Esfandiari ended up just calling. Singh continues to have control of the betting. A third spade hits the river.
3,000.
And he bets really small here. He bet like 1/10 of the pot. He's just trying to get to a showdown for cheap.
And Antonio...
Not gonna let that happen. He wants to play for more.
Makes it 16,000 total. Now, what's Singh thinking here, staring at this board?
He has to be worried about trips, full houses, flushes, even a straight could have potentially got there. There's a lot of things that can beat him. So hopefully he gets away here, but he might get a little bit stuck or just decide Antonio's bluffing.
You're too good, baby. Too good. I gotta think this one through.
To call the extra 13,000 is pretty much deciding Antonio was bluffing.
He can only really beat a bluff. No worse hand is gonna raise him there for value.
Call. Call. 2-5. Are you serious? What a schmuck. All right. 2-5.
Offsuit.
Yeah, I know. You saved the 3%.
Singh, none too pleased about that outcome.
But you know what? Antonio has got one of the best resumes for tournament poker in the history of the game. He's one of the few players that we saw make WPT final tables back in Season 1, Season 2, and is still competitive to this day.
Reputation certainly precedes him when it comes to World Poker Tour events. Action on Michael Singh.
Oh.
Looks at Queen Deuce suited, less than premium holding, but he wants back in the saddle. No pun intended, as Michael actually used to own and race horses for a living. 10-7 suited for Olivier, who limps in. Antonio back at it with 4-5 off.
Hey, family. Family style. Buca de Beppe. Really speeds. Second
It's
out.
5-way action to the flop, which is ace, queen, 7 off suit. Most players have hit this in some way, shape, or form. Jason Mercier, first to act, fires 1,000 with the aces.
Yeah, a little something for everyone here, except for Antonio Esfandiari. It looks like everybody else is going to get to the turn.
4 stay, 1 down.
4,000 more into the middle. 1 player down, 4 remain. Turn card is the
Very
king
good.
of diamonds.
That's a very good card for Olivier. It now gives him outs to diamonds and a straight with a jack. Plus, he can still catch a 10 or a 7, so he's got a lot of equity here.
After a check from Jason, Tony takes control of the betting, firing 1,000 with second pair and the Broadway draw. Michael still looking for some help here
Yeah,
with the
strange
queen
bet and
deuce.
strange call, Ali. But Olivier in an interesting spot here. He can call or raise with his hand. Both are viable. I'm curious to see which he opts for.
And it looks like a raise to 20,000 semi-bluff with the flush draw and straight draw, coupled with the 7s, makes quick work of Jason and Tony as well. Now over to Michael. Can't imagine him making the call.
Queens and 7. Computer hand.
Sure enough, Singh out of the way, and excellent execution from Olivier.
Yeah. Yeah, you got it straight. Something like that. I don't know. Whatever. I just felt that I'm out. And I have the lowest 2 pairs, queens and 7s.
Yeah, that's tough.
Tony, did I hear that right? Queens and 7s. I don't remember that being Michael's hand.
Yeah, Mike's inflating his hand a little bit there. He doesn't want to get pushed around by Olivier, and he's trying to pretend he had something stronger than he did.
Trying to protect his table image. More from St. Kitts in a moment.
Looks like the poker gods and the weather gods are going crazy right now. Let's get back to Ali and Tony.
The heavens have parted, Tony, but I feel like some of the pros felt that that was the case before the rain happened.
And you know what? None of them were planning to leave the table anyway, so they don't care what it's like outside.
All right, there's a look at 11 players, each of whom are in for $100,000, with the exception of Bill Perkins, who's in for $200,000. Chief among the stacks right now, Olivier Bousquet, sitting on $224,000 and change. Blinds are at 250 and 500. Antes are 75, and there is Jason Mercier. He will open the action with 5-6 suited, raising to 1,000. That is just 2 times the big blind, Tony.
Yeah, Jason going with the min raise here, despite the fact that stacks are still very deep. That communicates to me that he wants to get in as many post-flop situations against the amateurs as possible.
Tony Guglietti will sit this one out. Over to the button. Michael Singh has 10-9 suited, and he's going to play along. And it's 2 kings for Olivier in the small blind.
45.
He is going to 3-bet it to 4,500 total.
And Ali, we talked before about making your re-raises larger when you're out of position. You see Olivier follows through here. He makes it 4.5 times the size of Jason's initial raise.
Antonio thinking things over with king-queen offsuit. And he not only wants to play, he wants to 4-bet it here, Tony.
I actually like this play from Antonio. He's getting it in behind with Olivier, but he's picked a good hand to make this play with. He's got blockers to Olivier having big pairs, and he's putting the squeeze on the rest of the opponents on the table.
He made it 12,000 total. Both Tony and Michael have folded, and it's back over to Olivier, 7,500 to call.
And I think Olivier will probably call here. That gives Antonio some rope to hang himself with, and in the event he's bluffing, Olivier can count on him continuing after the flop.
Bousquet indeed just calls, and they'll be heads up to the flop, which is Queen 10 deuce, a troublesome one for Antonio.
Yeah, this is probably going to cost him 1, maybe 2 streets.
Bousquet checks it. And Antonio is going to check behind him, not going to follow through.
Yeah, I like that check there. When he flops the queen, he's essentially in a way ahead, way behind situation where he's either outflopped the pocket jacks or the ace king, or he's still way behind aces or kings.
26 and change in the middle. Olivier has fired 20,000 at Antonio. And the trouble here is Antonio really doesn't know where Olivier's at.
No, he really doesn't. Olivier could be bluffing with something like ace king, king jack, or clubs, or he could have an ace queen, kings, aces, a set of 10s, and is just trying to get value for his hand.
Well, Antonio's certainly not ready to lay it down, calls the 20,000, and the river really doesn't change anything. No straights or flushes on the board. And Olivier is going to bet again, this time 35,000, and that's a well-selected number.
Yeah, he's fired about half pot here, and he's really tempting Antonio to call him. And of course, the problem for Antonio is that Olivier would play both his strong and his weak hands identically here.
Yeah, it's a polarizing move, and Antonio not at all comfortable with the situation, especially because if king-queen's good on the turn, it's good on the river in this spot 99% of the time.
That's right. There's no reason that the 5 of diamonds would change anything here. Liv is not getting to this river with pocket 5s or queen 5 suited or something strange like that.
And Esfandiari purses his lips and sticks the extra 35,000 out there for a look at the bad news. Bousquet's 2 kings are going to cost Antonio a big pot.
It's a really well-played hand by Olivier. When he calls pre-flop, he allows Antonio to get tangled into the pot. In this case, he flops a pair, but in other situations, he would have just continued firing.
Good discipline by Bousquet, and he is now up over 300,000 in chips.
Yeah, Olivier's playing really well here, and stacking up chips at a rate that makes me think you might be stuck with me for a while.
Bousquet, no doubt not looking to punch his ticket back into the booth, Tony. He'd be happy to take this wire to wire. As he lays down, sits this one out, as does Antonio. Over to Mercier.
Raise.
He makes it 1,000 again, this time with Queen 9 offsuit. Picks up Tony with 7-8 suited. And Michael wants to play with 10 deuce off.
Yeah, that's a pretty speculative hand there. Of course, a very historic hand, known for Doyle Brunson having won 2 World Series main events with that hand.
Board is 10 deuce 3 rainbow, and Michael Singh's got a big piece of it.
Check.
Mike playing a very speculative 10 deuce offsuit here, but it works out for him when he flops 2 pair.
All 3 players check, and the turn is a 7, giving Tony a piece, but he checks again.
2,000.
And Michael fires a modest 2,000.
Yeah, the Doyle Brunson hand treating Mike really well here.
Jason out of the way. Tony says, I'll keep you honest, at least for 1 street, and the river card is a jack.
I wonder if it was Doyle that inspired Mike to play this hand, because most people don't look down at 10 deuce and say, yeah, let's go to a flop.
Well, he was already in for half in the big blind.
Here, I'll show you Doyle Brunson.
Tony checked it to him, he bet 5,000. Tony won't pay off and gets a free look nonetheless at Michael's 10 deuce 2 pair.
And deuce is good enough.
Holy moly.
Every player has to start somewhere. Begin your path to poker greatness. Log on to clubwpt.com and play for free. Become a VIP member and enjoy insider benefits. Plus, take a shot at a share of $100,000 in cash and prizes every month. Win at clubwpt.com, but never lose a dime playing poker guaranteed. And we got a little unexpected weather. What do you think about this?
You know when you're on vacation and the weather's not great, so like everybody kind of tries to figure out something to do indoors, so they go in and like play a board game or they figure out something to do. And you know, we just decided to play 100K.
That is a perfect way to put it.
Right? That's how it feels.
Yes, it really. So we're playing a rainy day home game.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is
And
very
it's-
expensive
It just
one.
happens to be for a lot of money.
Well, when you're running as good as Olivier has been in this event, poker feels like a big vacation, doesn't it?
Yeah, he seems very upbeat in those interviews. We'll see if that persists if he drops any chips.
Well, he's not dropping any for the time being. He is the overwhelming chip leader with almost 315,000 in front of him. Blinds at 250 and 500, ante at 75. Button on Olivier.
Oh.
Michael Singh is limped in with 6 deuce suited. Olivier does the same with ace-6 off, as does Antonio with ace-10 off from the small. Jason Mercier checks the big blind and 4 players to the flop, which is 8 deuce 4 and a couple of diamonds. Jason will fire with middle pair. Only Michael Singh along for the ride with bottom pair. Turn card is a 9. Jason quickly checking, and
12.
Michael's going to position bet 1,200.
Yeah, he bets small here, and we've seen before that he typically bets larger when he's confident in his hand. So I think that's why Jason is calling so quickly here.
And the river card is a king of diamonds.
33.
Jason checks again, and a quick bet from Michael, this time 3,300.
Yeah, a quick and larger bet from Michael. It wouldn't surprise me if it gets Jason to lay down. What I'm curious about is Michael betting here because he thinks Jason has a better hand and he's trying to bluff him? Or is he betting because he's just not quite sure what he should be doing?
Well, one's tempted to think the latter, given that Michael Singh is certainly far from a professional player on the amateur side of the spectrum at this event, but bluffs off the pro in this spot, picking up a nice pot.
Yeah, the larger bet worked for him there, and Jason doesn't really know that he laid down the best hand, but he's gonna wonder because Michael's in there every single hand.
I'm sweating my balls off. Top 5 sweatiest they've ever been for sure.
Ball playing.
No, ever. I mean, I might just have to go commando here.
Commando. You may have to.
It's too hot.
Antonio feeling the heat and threatening to go commando. Don't do it.
It's a
avoid
100K
we
strip
could've
poker
lost.
game.
You?
No, I'm telling you.
Singh again limping in. Olivier does the same despite having the ace-9 offsuit.
So,
And
what
wait a
is
minute.
Antonio doing?
No, it's just some readjustments taking place, folks.
Sometimes you gotta readjust.
Sometimes you gotta readjust. Oh yeah, poker. 4 players to the flop. Ace, deuce, trade, 2 diamonds
Singh has flopped the nuts here.
with the straight.
Yeah, the limp fest continues here. Mike Singh drills it on this board, but Olivier with top pair is gonna have trouble getting away.
Well, certainly for 1,000, which is the number that Michael has settled on for the post-flop bet. Olivier makes the call, and he'll be heads up in position against Michael. Turn card is a 6. Michael still with the nuts. Improves to a 6-high straight and bets again. 3,000 this time.
We are seeing those larger bets from him when he has a strong hand. I wonder if Olivier has picked up on that or if he's just not going to fold because he knows Michael plays so many hands.
River puts a 3rd diamond on the board, but doesn't appear that Michael Straight is concerned, and he bets 5,500. Now, what do you do if you're Bousquet?
This is a tough spot for Olivier. He's got top pair, and he thinks that he's probably good on the flop, and if Michael had a flush draw, he's got there. But otherwise, he's also aware that Michael is getting to the flop with any 2 cards, so there's a lot of random things he could have here that Olivier still beats.
Ace-4, ace-5, and ace-7 are about the only hands that Michael might have that Olivier would beat.
Straight to the 6.
Straight. Good hand. Very nice.
On the flop. Yeah.
Very nice.
Well, it's no 10 deuce on this occasion as Olivier pays off. Michael takes down another one.
Now, I wonder whether Olivier could have gotten away there on the river or was just kind of sucked in by the frequency that Mike's seen the flop.
Yeah, Michael, as the amateur, obviously has been paying a little bit of attention so far in the action because we've seen him make the adjustments, and that's kind of the hallmark of somebody who's at least applying what they're being exposed to. People talk about paying attention when you're not in the hand of poker, and he seemed to be doing that.
Like you said, Ali, sometimes you just gotta adjust.
Oh, yeah. See the thing. Whatever. Have fun.
Action folded around here to Michael Singh in the small blind. He'll limp in. Olivier says run it, and round two between these gentlemen.
It's pretty friendly for Olivier to just check behind there. He knows Mike is playing any two cards.
Oh, both players hit the flop. Top pair for Michael, middle pair for Olivier, but the action goes check, check, and now Michael improves to two pair on the turn and bets 2,000.
The problem for Olivier here is I think he checked that flop trying to induce bluffs from Mike, so I don't believe he's gonna get away here.
Well, he's made the call on the turn and now an ace on the river. Neither of the flush draws on the board on the turn came through. Michael bets 4,000.
Again, a larger bet into a pot of about 5,300 here, so his bet sizing does reflect his strength so far.
Oh, and Olivier's gonna pay off.
You got it.
That smile seems to have evaporated a little bit, but it wasn't an expensive call on the end. Could it be the product of having as many chips as he does, though?
It's always tempting in those marginal situations to just make the call when you have a lot of chips because you want to see cards, you want to see what your opponents are doing, and maybe there's some value for Olivier here because Mike is playing so many hands, he's having difficulty getting a read on him.
You know, some home.
Yeah, 7 deuce. I heard.
Yeah.
I've heard. Yeah, we just play for $300. You know, like Table's net worth is about $4 billion, and they play for $300. Seriously.
Yeah, I believe it.
Everybody's on the Canada's top 100 list.
Ali, what are the odds they play for 300,000 and he just kind of forgot?
Doubtful, but of course there's a story of Bill Gates playing in Vegas. He used to play 3 and 6 limit hold'em.
Right.
Yep.
Guy's worth billions.
Love of the game right there.
All right.
That's a good card.
3 players to a flop of 9-9-6 after Michael limped on the button. Olivier is trips here. Antonio with the nut flush draw will bet 1,500.
I call 1,500.
Michael's gonna make the call with the gut shot straight draw and up to Olivier.
Yeah, he could raise or call here. The advantage of calling is it keeps everyone in, and if he does raise, he's kind of announcing the strength of his hand, so I like his call.
3-way action.
Turn is a jack, changes nothing. Olivier checks one more time. Antonio does the same.
I'll bet 3,000.
When Michael doesn't want to take the free pull, he's going to bet 3,000 and try to end things right here.
I think it's optimistic to think both of his opponents will fold here. He'd be better off just taking the river card.
Olivier still not raising, and that allows Antonio to sneak in with the flush draw on the turn. And the river is a queen. A third check out of Olivier.
Yeah, he slow played all 3 streets, which shows me that he thinks the best way to get value out of Mike is to check and induce bluffs.
Antonio
Unbelievable. I had a
checked,
feeling.
Mike checked behind, and
Jesus. I had a jack.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Nice check. Very nice.
I had a 10 jack.
wait a minute.
I had a straight open and a pair and 2 pairs, but I knew you had a 9.
And Michael Singh is either in need of a prescription adjustment on those glasses or a little bit of truth serum.
Antonio, what is this all about? Are you just begging for a relapse of last year?
No, the table is an oven with the lights. It's so hot. And Sorrel Mizzy's not here this year, so I don't have to get pants.
Okay, so yeah, his bum is safe.
Yeah, so there's no opportunity for you to in this year.
I didn't.
Sorry. She definitely
I didn't see anything.
show a little clip, go back, you see her eyes going right down at the
They
Persian
may
goods.
have gone down. The Persian goods. Well, I didn't see the Persian goods, all right? I just saw what happened. That's it.
Is it just me, or was Antonio just hanging out with Lynn Gilmartin in his underwear while eating a plate of food, Tony?
Yeah, pretty much. It was opulent.
Opulent. I'm not sure I would have gone with that word. Now, as we know, and as they mentioned, Sorrel pantsed Antonio during last season's visit to St. Kitts. If you want to relive that moment, or maybe just some of the poker, Become a member of ClubWPT.com. As a VIP member of ClubWPT.com, you have access to all of Season 1 of WPT Alpha 8. You can also watch regular World Poker Tour episodes and enjoy a host of other VIP perks.
At ClubWPT.com, you can play real poker and practice your poker skills and play for a part of $100,000 in cash and prizes every month.
Log on to ClubWPT.com for more information. In the meantime, let's get over to the outer table where we find Bill Perkins' coach, poker professional Jeff Gross, all in against the amateur Kathy Laney, the Texas Oil CEO. She's got ace-10 suited, he's got ace-6 off, and I'm pretty sure she's just sent him packing with the nut flush, Tony.
Yeah, Jeff is gonna have to come up with another $100,000 on short notice if he wants to re-enter, which I'm guessing he will.
Well, you know, Kathy is no stranger to poker. She calls Houston, Texas her home and is the first ever female to buy into the Alpha 8.
She's looked good so far. Major respect for Kathy.
Well, it is early. The re-entry period is open for a while. Do you think you're going to come back in?
I was thinking I was, but I'm not sure now. It looks like a pretty good field, and to fly all this way and then be out early, it's, you know, I like to play, so I might get back in, but we'll see.
Well, it's great to see you play. Hopefully we see you come back. Who knows?
Yeah, it's 50-50. I'm gonna go paddleboard and decide.
Perfect. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So if it's 50-50, does that mean that Jeff's gonna flip a coin on that paddleboard to find out if he's gonna buy in again?
I think it means he's gonna tweet this line around, I could borrow for like a day or two.
Does anyone in St. Kitts have their cell phone on? We're on vacation. Come on, what are you thinking about here,
Plus
Tony?
that data is so expensive.
Something tells me these folks can afford it. As we get back to the feature table, we see Olivier Bousquet in firm control of the action, sitting on the chip lead with over 330,000 in front of him. Jason Mercier is gonna sit this one out.
Race.
Tony Guglietti looks down at a couple of 10s. And Guglietti is going to raise to 2,200.
I call.
Michael Singh on the button with ace-6 offsuit's just gonna call.
Yeah, he's very stubborn on the button, and I think if you're gonna play an offsuit ace here, you should either re-raise or fold.
Olivier is going to join the party with Jack-9 suited, and all three players will take the flop, which is Jack-4-6 with a couple of clubs. Olivier with the best hand, out-flopping Tony's 10s. He checks it over to Tony.
Pretty good board for everyone here. Tony's still gotta like his condition with his 10s, but we know that Mike is gonna get sticky with his middle pair, and Olivier, of course, with top pair.
Oh.
Bet of 3,000 is called by both Michael and Olivier. 9,000 extra into the middle, and the turn, it's a hot one. We get it put into place. It is the 5 of spades. Olivier checks over to Tony, who checks as well, and Michael says run it. And the river is a 7 of clubs. 3 to a flush, 4 to a straight out there.
Yeah, that completes everything here. So obviously Olivier, Tony not that happy, and
Pair of sixes and ace.
Third jacks.
Mike just checks behind, kind of misses an opportunity to bluff there. We saw him turn a pair into a bluff earlier. That worked out for him. I think he would have got away with it again.
You're very good at the pairs.
Just getting the best hand at the end, just having the best hand, yeah, it's working. It's working so far. You guys should work on that strategy.
Amazing.
These A8 pros are really on their game. Now you can play WPT caliber poker on your iPhone anywhere you go for free. Log on to the App Store to download Club WPT Express Poker. Remember, it's free and it's fun. I hope to see you in the game. So, Bill, tell me about Christoph Harbour.
Christoph Harbour is wonderful. They have one of the most beautiful pieces of real estate here in the Caribbean. My favorite areas of that is Sandy Beach Bay. The way they build here, they integrate with the land such that it's not obtrusive. It enhances what's around you and keeps the natural beauty and the flow of the lines. The pavilion, you know, one of the first structures I went up on Sandy Beach Bay. That's wonderful. You know, we play cards there. You see the views. It's stunning. I'm very, very, very fortunate to be able to come and visit here.
You are, and so are we.
Yes.
Thanks for having us, Bill.
Come and visit.
And he's not boasting either. This place is gorgeous.
Pictures speak for themselves, as do the chip counts. Olivier Bousquet in firm control of the feature table action. Jason Mercier in second, the only other player with more than his original starting stack of 100,000. Everybody else is heading in the wrong direction. Jason Mercier on the button, Tony and Michael in the blinds. Olivier folds under the gun. Antonio with ace-jack offsuit. He will raise it up to 1,600. Jason and Tony both folding, but can't expect a fold out of Michael Singh from the big blind with Jack-9.
No, he said he's stubborn pre-flop before, so he's definitely not going away with Jack-9.
No. Indeed, Michael is defending his big blind for an extra 1,000. Heads up to the flop with Antonio. That flop is King, Queen, 9 with a couple of diamonds.
Yeah, Mike has outdrawn him here, and we know that he's not likely to fold his hand if Antonio does bet.
He's got the straight draw and bottom pair. Checks it, and Antonio checks behind with the Broadway draw. Turn card is the 5 of clubs.
I like that Antonio checked behind there. I don't think you can make Mike fold many better hands, so just check and get the free card.
Michael is betting on the turn, and Antonio makes the call for 2 grand. River card, a 9. Singh now has trips.
Yeah, I understand Antonio's turn call. He might have the best hand with ace high. He's still got a draw. But now Mike is going to make a big bet here. And you see, like we talked about before, he's betting 7,000 into 8,000, which from him seems to display a lot of confidence in his hand.
You bluffing me, Mike?
That's all you get.
Yeah, Antonio not quite ready to release his hand.
A lot of draws missed.
Trying to get some information here.
A lot of draws missed, my friend. Sometimes you gotta just pay them off, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure why he's posturing so much, maybe to get a read he'll use on Mike in later hands, but I just don't think Antonio's going to call.
Missed draw, baby. You gotta pay to find out.
Indeed, ace-jack is returned to sender, and Michael Singh takes the pot. Antonio's stack heading in the wrong direction. He's down to 43,000 and change.
A lot, actually.
Jason Mercier folds his jack 8. Tony Guglietti with pocket 3s.
1,400.
He's going to raise it up. Makes it 1,400, a modest raise.
Mike here right behind him with a king-jack suited. Again, he could call, he could raise, but so far he's always opted for a call.
And that's exactly what he does, as does Olivier Bousquet with 7 deuce suited. Is this boredom?
I think this is Olivier being so confident in his post-flop abilities compared to his opponents that he'll take any reasonable holding and just try and get there with them.
Speaking of reasonable holdings, how about ace-king offsuit for Antonio Esfandiari? He is going to repop it to 6,400 total. Away goes Tony Guglietti.
I call.
But not Michael Singh, who will call the extra 5,000. Easy fold for Olivier, and it's round 2 between Michael and Antonio as we head to the flop. And it's a good one for Michael Singh, Tony.
Yeah, this is a perfect board for his hand. Antonio might actually get caught in here for his entire stack because he didn't start with that many chips.
No, he didn't. On the flop, Antonio betting 7,300, and Michael, with a big piece of the pot, elects to just call.
Yeah, I like that he just called. In the event that he's ahead of Antonio, he wants to allow him the opportunity to bluff off the rest of his stack.
Right, and here comes the turn. It's a 4 of hearts. Michael still with the best hand, and Antonio is moving all in for 29,425.
Yeah, no surprise there. He picked up a straight draw on the turn. He might think that Mike has a weak pair that he can blow him off here. It's just no surprise he moved in.
Decision time for Michael Singh.
Wow.
I'm surprised he's taking that long. So far, he's been so apt to just call bets and raises. I think something about the words all in are kind of intimidating to amateur players.
Yeah, you see him fussing with his hat a little bit. Can't imagine him finding the fold button, though.
You don't win if you don't play.
When sure enough, he makes the call, rolls over the winner.
I can.
And Antonio in a world of hurt here, but it isn't over yet. Michael is in the lead. Antonio is looking for a non-spade 5 or an ace. A king would be no good. Can Antonio avoid being dispatched by Michael Singh? He cannot, as the 6 of hearts hits the river, sends the pro tacking.
Yeah, we said this was a matchup between the pros and the amateurs today, and right now, the knockout count favors the amateurs.
Well, Antonio, the pants are back on. That can only mean one thing.
I'm not sweating down there anymore.
Yeah, it's either cooled down or the table has cooled down because this guy's heat is gone.
Yeah, I busted out. I tried to run King Jack off with Ace King when he flopped the Jack, and there was a lot of money in the pot. So I don't regret my decision. It's just whatever.
That's what happens.
Yeah, whatever.
Now, the semi-good news is that it's early. You can come back in. Are you going to come back?
Yeah.
Yeah? Easy decision. He doesn't even contemplate.
What am I gonna do?
It's raining. What else are you
It's
going
sunny.
to
I can go in the. I mean, I can still go in the ocean, but I'm definitely gonna go back in.
do? Okay. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to seeing you back at the tables.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tony, what did you like out there in the action we've seen so far?
I like that Antonio complained about how hot he was, but then draped himself in a sweater.
Well, that is it for us tonight as we wait for Antonio to wrangle up another $100,000. Let's see how he does next time with his fresh stack of chips. For now, for Ali Najad and Tony Dunst, I'm Lynn Gilmartin, and good night from St. Kitts. Tonight in the tropics, $100,000 gets you in the game. And with the turn of a card, it's either sink or swim. This is WPT Alpha 8. Welcome back to continuing coverage of WPT Alpha 8 St. Kitts. Our super high roller poker tournament is beachside here at the wonderful residential resort of Christoph Harbour. This ideal setting is a perk reserved for those players willing to risk $100,000. Last season, it was German pro Philip Grusom who saw his investment turn into a $1 million payday. And tonight we have an elite group ready to draw their line in the sand in hopes of making it big, including A8's own Olivier Bousquet, who is knee-deep in this competition. Now, sitting in for Olivier is WPT Raw Deal analyst Tony Dunst, along with poker commentator extraordinaire Ali Najad. They are comfortably stationed over in the ClubWPT.com skybox. Hi, guys.
Hey, Lynn, I don't think we're the only two people that are feeling comfortable right now. She seems like she's having a good time out there. Welcome to those of you who are joining us for today's action here from Christoph Harbour in St. Kitts, a lovely venue for a little bit of poker. We are down to 10 of our original 11 players, a solid mix of 5 pros and 5 amateurs, Tony.
Yeah, we've been talking about the pro versus amateur dynamic, and so far we've had 1 amateur re-entry and 1 professional re-entry.
Yeah, $200,000 at stake for both Bill Perkins and Antonio Esfandiari at this point. Right now we've got 2 tables in action, our featured table and our outer table. 10 players, 5 at each. Here are the chip counts at the feature table. As you can see, Olivier Bousquet simply running away with things. 337,000 and change. A short stack at the table belonging right now to Tony Guglietti. He is going to be faced with kind of an uphill climb here with just over 40,000 in chips, and the blinds, they move ahead, 400, 800. The ante is at 100. We see Tony Guglietti. He is a real estate developer, founder, owner, and president of Townwood Homes in Canada.
We saw our amateurs prefer to limp in as opposed to raise or re-raise pre-flop, and we're seeing a continuation of that so far, even though King 10 and King Jack are both quite raisable hands.
All right, let him live.
4-way action to a flop of 8-8-5. Olivier has hit a 5. He checks it. Antonio's got the real 5 with the ace kicker and bets 1,800.
Now, Michael Singh is not a man who likes to fold pre-flop or even on the flop, and despite the fact that he only has overcards here, he's going to call Antonio's bet.
Now, Michael is in position and apparently engrossed in whatever's happening on his cell phone during this $100,000 buy-in event.
Checking the stock market, I guess, probably playing for higher stakes.
Speaking of checking, that's what Antonio has done, and now Singh is going to try to buy the pot with a bet of 3,300.
He might get away with this one, Ali. Antonio's in kind of an awkward spot here. His opponent could have something like 6-7, but he could also have trip 8s. He could have even limped a pair.
You have 7-9 Sing?
Oh, boy.
I feel like that 6 really hit you. What are you gonna do, right?
What are you gonna do? 3,300.
Antonio always looking to get information from his opponents, especially the amateurs.
Yeah, those are the ones who don't know they shouldn't be talking during the hand.
Yeah.
You'll never get this guy for anything. It's unbelievable.
Oh, Michael giving him the needle there, bluffing him.
Not even 3,300.
And talking like he had the goods, keeping up the facade.
Yeah, Singh has been talking about almost every single hand he's been in action about, and seldom in a truthful manner. As we go over to the outer table, Texas Oil CEO Kathy Laney sitting on pocket aces on the 10-6-8 jack board. She has checked it over to Bill Perkins, who's got the nuts straight.
I know what you got. There's nothing you can do.
He bets. Kathy ends up moving all in. Perkins makes the call, and she is drawing stone dead here.
And you could see Perkins was so confident in his hand. He said to Kathy, I know what you have. He just didn't seem to care. Well, because he's got the nuts.
Told you, I know what you got. Chips, Princess of Poker is down.
Well, Bill calling for Kathy's rebuy.
Kathy Buckman. I'm sorry. I told you, I know what you got. I know what you got.
Well, that was a healthy smack on the top of the dome there.
Lose $100,000, win a hug.
Well, Kathy Laney, good news for her. She's got the funds to buy back in. Yet to be determined whether or not she will, although Bill Perkins certainly seems to believe she'll be in for another 100,000. And sure enough, Kathy has drawn for a new seat assignment, and it looks like she's going to remain at the outer table. Just sliding over to seat 1.
Didn't even do anything to earn the hug this time.
We'll take the dreaded red wash off of Kathy's image there as she carries on and is now in for $200,000 along with Bill Perkins and Antonio Esfandiari, the only 3 players to have re-entered. We resume the action at the feature table where Jason Mercier min raises with Queen 10 offsuit to 1,600. Michael Singh, of course, going nowhere with his ace 8, and Antonio defends the big blind with pocket 7s. 3 players headed to the flop, which is ace, jack, deuce. Antonio checks it over to Mercier, who's flopped the gut shot Broadway draw and bets 2,300 into Michael's aces, which are the best hand. Antonio folds.
We know from watching Michael play, he will never be folding top pair here, let alone really any pair.
Turn card is a queen. Mercier improves to second pair, but checks it.
Natural for him to check here. He's not sure whether he has the best hand, not sure whether he can get value by betting.
Singh bets 5,000, and Jason casually calls. River is a 4, changing nothing.
And hopefully Mike bets here again. He's going for it. I like the bet. He's bet small here. And we've seen Mike bet large when he's really confident in his hand. Jason pays a lot of attention. He might pick up on that and pay off here because he's bet so small.
Under the assumption that he's weak, and sure enough, there's Mercier's call. That is the face of a man who is not pleased with an outcome.
What was that statue, the Thinker? That's what Jason looks like about 99% of the time. He looks like a very upset thinker.
Make no mistake, though, Jason's certainly a student of the game and has the results to prove it. Sun setting on the beautiful Christoph Harbor landscape. Michael Singh has been taking quite a few pots so far in the action in the early going.
You know, the tricky part about Mike Singh is because he plays so many hands, you really don't know where he's at in any given hand. And it's not like he folds on the flop when he doesn't have it and calls when he does have it. He just keeps going. Now, Michael's done a good job of improving as he goes along here. He doesn't pretend to be a very experienced poker player, but he's clearly picking up on what the professionals are doing around him and trying to adapt.
Yep, emulating that behavior. Ace-10 suited for Antonio, raising to 2,400.
Sing, baby. I gotta get some of my chippies back.
Oh, barbecue. Barbecue. Oh, you ain't gonna get him back like that, are you?
The flop of 5 deuce deuce gives him the best hand, and he leads right into the pre-flop raiser for 2,500.
And this is the tricky part about Michael Singh. Almost everyone checks and then calls a bet from Antonio here. Michael leads out, and Antonio doesn't know, is he just doing this with draws, with complete air, or is he doing this with pairs and trips? Well, this time it's a pair.
His curiosity has caused him to call the flop. Turn is a 9, Singh still with the best hand.
Check.
This time he'll check it to Antonio.
I think Antonio will check behind because he believes he has the best hand, but he also might think, I've got the best hand and I should bet to get value against Mike.
Oh.
Well, apparently the latter as he bets 3,500, though something tells me he would have rather seen Mike fold in this spot. Instead, Mike calls the 3,500, and the river is a 10, giving Antonio the best hand now. Mike checks.
That's the best possible card for Antonio to hit as well. If an ace comes out, Michael's inevitably going to be a little more scared of it, and he's going to be worried that 4-3 got there. But the 10 is really hard to pick for Antonio.
10,300 chips to call for Michael Singh.
He's been stubborn in these situations before. We know when he gets to the river and he has a pair, he typically doesn't like to fold it. So even though it's hard for him to have the best hand here, no surprise that he calls.
Last card, come on. Don't do that stuff. I read you good, but I had a 5. Damn. I knew you had ace something. I thought you had ace king.
Wait, did Mike just tell the truth about his hand?
He did tell the truth about his hand. That might be a first for this tournament.
Oh, man. Jeez, that was so marginal. I wasn't going to call. Oh, you got some chippies back.
I needed it.
Yeah, but I'm upset. Got the river. Son of a...
Michael, welcome to High Stakes Poker. Alpha 8 is brought to you by ClubWPT.com. Fun, exciting poker you can play for free.
Still want to get in the game? Log on to ClubWPT.com and play for free. Become a VIP member and enjoy insider benefits. Plus, take a shot at a share of $100,000 in cash and prizes every month. Win at ClubWPT.com, but never lose a dime playing poker, guaranteed. We're here in the beautiful Caribbean paradise of St. Kitts for WPT Alpha 8. This is my kind of pub. Well, now I know why Kittians are so happy. They've got rum growing on trees. We have the Atlantic Ocean on this side, the Caribbean Sea on this side, and just over the hill, we have our poker players playing down WPT Alpha 8.
And for those of you who are playing along with some trivia, Kittians is the term for people from St. Kitts. Now you know.
That's a beautiful woman saying a word I'd never heard and an accent I barely understand.
Oh, you got a little romantic there on me, Tony Dunst. Speaking of romance, Olivier has romanced his way to $361,000 in chips at this table, doing his part to try to secure a victory here in St. Kitts. Michael Singh, the amateur, second in chips right now. We get a look at his holding, ace-7 offsuit. The blinds are at $501,000 with a $100 ante.
Michael Singh leading off with a limp, as has been his standard so far.
Antonio, perhaps looking to isolate with Jack-6 suited, makes it $4,000.
What, you after my blind all the time?
No, I'm after Singh.
And he makes no bones about it.
No?
I call you, buddy. You have to sing. Oh, because the 29,800 call. I forgot that.
Singh referring to having felted Antonio last time the two did battle before Antonio's re-entry.
All right, let's see what happens. I check.
Look at this flop, ace-8-4 with a couple of clubs. Mike has check called 5,200 with top pair. He is up against Antonio's flush draw. Turn card, puts a 3 of diamonds on board, changing nothing, and both players check. Here comes the river. It is a deuce.
I know that Antonio doesn't have much here, but I like that he slowed down on the turn. I hope he doesn't bluff this river because Michael Singh hates folding, and if he has any part of it, it's not going to happen when it comes 3 deuce.
Keep hoping, Tony. Antonio's just bet 15,300.
Call.
Michael might have been worried about a 5 for a wheel, but he says call, and Antonio almost stubborn is in his desire to bluff Michael Singh out of a hand.
That's exactly how I describe it, because Antonio's been here for 2 entries now, watching Michael Singh refuse to fold, and he still tried to bluff him.
Antonio down to roughly 78,000 in chips, while Singh is up to 135 and change, courtesy of the Magician. You ever get in that mindset where you just can't beat a guy at the table and it starts to wear on you in one of 2 ways? Either you resign or you go doubling down on your efforts in ways you shouldn't to beat him?
Yes, but I'm a coward, so I always opt for resign.
Tony the Coward Dunst joining us.
Sounds good, doesn't it?
It sounds real sexy, Tony.
Yes.
The ladies are lining up as we speak. Mercier with ace-3, open for a raise to 2,000. Tony called with ace-deuce suited from the small blind, and where is Michael Singh gonna go? He's got 2 cards.
He's going nowhere. He's going to a flop is where he's going.
2 6s and a 7 on the board. No one is connected with it. Tony checks to
No one
Michael.
connects. That's a Michael Singh specialty board.
Yes, it is. He's bet 4,000. And the thinker thinks better of it.
This is unbelievable. No money, don't get paid off. Full house, unbelievable. 6, 7 of clubs.
So you?
Yeah.
Well, nice looking hand, 6, 7 of clubs, right?
Singh is really singing quite the song to the rest of the table in every single situation.
Some very tall tales.
Doesn't pay to go after Singh.
Does not.
I had 6, 7 of clubs. Hello? No money. I didn't even get a quarter. Antonio wasn't there trying to raise me.
Michael Singh is all over the place. You never know what he's got. He could have anything at any time.
Whatever, have fun with you.
He was actually fun to play with because he almost never folded a hand.
Even though he's not a professional, he's very tough to read.
He's pretty much any 2 cards pre-flop.
I got the 4 spades. I gotta do it. I don't care what it is, right?
Yeah, he's definitely no easy pickings.
Okay, thanks.
I'd say those are some pretty strong compliments coming from those pros.
Yeah, they're also professionals at flattery.
Folded around to the man of the hour, Michael Singh, with king-4 offsuit in the small blind. He will limp in, and Olivier looks at ace-queen off. And Olivier from the big blind makes it 3,000 total with his ace-queen. He'll be heads up and in position going to the flop, which is deuce, deuce, 7.
Check.
Olivier didn't technically hit this board, but it's so unconnected that it's actually good for him here. He finds it very unlikely that Michael is connected as well.
I have the best hand.
Yeah,
And Olivier keeping it friendly, gonna give him a free show.
You know what I had? King Jack suited and I folded. Well, I called the first two.
Sure. That's a nice little hand.
Michael, happy to check fold a relatively small pot.
Never tell anybody what you got. Just talk.
So Martin, we are standing right where we have the Alpha 8 final table. Now, so much effort goes into setting up this set from the WPT group, but this isn't always a poker room, is it?
The pavilion is used for our members that want to come by and relax by the pool or have a bite to eat or go to the beach.
Very nice. What a beautiful, beautiful space.
You know what we need, Tony Dunst? We need the suit/swimsuit, like a waterproof version, so we can just take a dip in that pool. It is hot out here.
Or just like rip off the jacket, go straight in, and then for whatever reason we have like water resilient cloth, and then just dry out, come back to the booth.
We're sitting on a gold mine, I'm telling you. Speaking of gold mines, Olivier Bousquet, 363,000 in front of him, continues to sit on the chip lead as he looks at a couple of deuces and opens the pot, limping in for 1,000. We've seen that out of the amateurs, but not the pros.
A lot of the amateurs have been limping. I guess Olivier with a small pair here wants to give them the opportunity to get to a flop with him and have him flop a set so he can win a big pot.
And this is a dream situation. Olivier finds himself up against the 2 amateurs at the table. Here is the flop, ace, queen, deuce. Olivier with a set of deuces. Tony with the gut shot Broadway draw. Air for Michael Singh.
An ideal situation for Olivier here, who has flopped a set in position on a wet board against the 2 amateurs.
Both Tony and Michael check it to him, and he quickly bets 2,000. Tony not going anywhere with his draw.
I'll leave you there, Chief.
And Michael, we're proud of him. He's folding.
First for him.
Down to heads up as we look at the turn. It's a jack of diamonds. Wow. Disaster card for Olivier as Tony has made the ace-high straight and checks it.
And there's just no way that Olivier can put his opponent on the straight here. He drew to a gut shot, he was fortunate to catch it, and now Olivier is gonna bet, and assuming that Tony raises him, there's no way Olivier gets away here.
Well, the bet is 6,000, and Tony is fumbling through his chips, trying to settle on a number, and just 12,000 is the amount of the raise, Tony.
It's a check and min raise, which coming from an amateur is a sign of real strength because you're putting more chips in the pot and you're saying you don't care if your opponent calls you again. So Olivier here, likely alarm bell sounding in his head, but he doesn't know whether his opponent is strong because he overvalues 2 pair or because he's strong as a result of the straight he has.
Bousquet calls the 6,000 extra, and here comes the river. It's the 4 of hearts. Tony's still with the best hand. And how much is he gonna bet? Oh, he's not gonna bet at all, Tony. He's checking.
Yeah, he's been very slow play heavy with his strong hands.
Now it's a matter of can Olivier check behind? Almost impossible. And he is going to put Tony all in. Tony quickly makes the call.
3 deuces? Right.
Nice hand. Very nice.
Nice hand, Tony.
Very nice. How much?
Wow, not what you expected out of the amateur seat.
No, not what I expected, though I can't blame Olivier for putting him all in on the river. He had about a pot-sized bet left. Olivier thinks he's still got the best hand, but Tony successfully trapped him.
And it really no way for Bousquet to get away from that cold deck.
Very nice hand.
get a chance.
Yeah.
Yeah, for Canada. My buddy.
Singh waving the flag on behalf of the two amateur Maple Leafs at the table. Tony Guglietti has got the proud distinction of having built over 40,000 homes in the greater Toronto area.
Sorry, I was a little too busy here.
Guglietti with 9-3 offsuit will take an opportunity to continue to stack his spoils from that last pot. King 10 off for Michael. Let me guess, he's not folding. Limps in for 1,000 on the button, refuses to raise. Now, we do know there are pros who prefer to play small ball and will do things like this, but that's certainly something for the more crafty and more professional players.
Yeah, you normally make these type of button limps when the stacks are much shorter in relation to the blinds. Michael here with the King 10 should really just be raising pre-flop.
5-5-6. Olivier likes the look of it. Two spades on the board, giving Antonio a flush draw. They both check it over to Michael, though. And Michael fires a modest 2,000. Olivier's check raises to 6,500. And Antonio is going to call. Mike gets away and leaves the two pros to do battle. And the turn is a 4. Olivier has made a full house. Antonio is now drawing dead, but has added an open-ended straight draw to his flush draw.
And Ali, just like we said, when Antonio calls that check raise on the flop, he creates the possibility that his hand gets there, but he still loses to a better hand.
And Olivier is going to bet 13,500 into the pot of 18,500.
And Antonio's stuck here now with overcards, a flush draw, a straight draw. He's clearly getting to the river.
Yeah, he started this pot with a little over 65,000, and another decent chunk of it heads into the turn as Antonio thinks he wants a spade or a straight card, and the river is an 8 of clubs. Antonio gets there.
Disaster. Just as we anticipated, Antonio is going to both make his hand and lose his stack once Olivier goes all in here.
Bousquet coming up with the right number. And he bets 150,000. Now, he knows that that is significantly more than what Antonio has in front of him. Any reason for that?
Well, he believes that Antonio has got a strong hand to both call a check raise and that big bet on the turn. So he thinks, well, if Antonio's got something that big, he'll probably call a large bet on the river. Why not go for all of them?
You're 5-4.
Antonio even calls his hand.
5-8. Pretty sick.
Feels like there might not be backs on Olivier's cards the way Antonio's talking. You can see Esfandiari not pleased with this situation one bit.
Have another full house, huh? Got another boat? Middle-aged wizard? Middle-aged wizard won't even crack him.
I think Olivier's what? He's only what, 31, 32? Is that middle age? Am I middle aged?
Relax, Dunce.
He wants to chuckle a little bit. He can't help it. I got him.
You got it. Good job. That's funny.
I mean, if you got a boat, you got a boat. Jesus.
And Antonio can get away here. Olivier has check raised two players, one of which never folds on the flop, barreled the turn, shoved the river when the 4 straight comes out. I think Antonio, if he really wants to be disciplined here tonight, could lay this down.
Antonio started this pot with 65,000, and Olivier wants all of it. And he's gonna get it.
It's got a boat. You read him so
Pretty freaking sick.
A $100,000 mistake on the river as Antonio pays off and is felted for the second time.
All right, good luck, guys. Nice answer.
That is a man who has just lit a match to $200,000 in a matter of hours.
Antonio, we meet again.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Under sad circumstances.
I know. You predicted Olivier had the full house. You still called.
I mean, I didn't predict it, but I went through the thought process and either had 4-5 or 8-4 or, you know, all of his bluffs. But look, I had a straight. Straights are hard to make. You know, I finally got there, and he had a boat. So there was a lot of money in the pot, and obviously it wasn't the right decision. But
That's poker, right?
that is poker.
All right, third time lucky?
I don't know. 2 bullets is probably enough for me today.
All right. Well, great to see you play as always.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Antonio.
With Antonio's departure, Tony, we are now faced with a field of 9, which means we are going to consolidate down to one feature table, and that is going to affect the action considerably.
Yeah, I love the peer pressure from Lynn Gilmartin. She's like, you gonna fire a third? You going in for 3?
Come on, it's just another 100 grand.
Still want to get in the game? Log on to clubwpt.com and play for free. Become a VIP member and enjoy insider benefits. Plus, take a shot at a share of $100,000 in cash and prizes every month. Win at clubwpt.com, but never lose a dime playing poker, guaranteed.
You know who might have wanted to be playing on Club WPT tonight? How about Antonio Esfandiari? He has dusted off $200,000, Tony.
You know, Elliot, we all love the skill, competition, and risk inherent in poker, but sometimes that risk gets pretty expensive. And if you want to have a home game without spending that kind of money, it is available to you.
That's right. If you log on to clubwpt.com, you can play and practice your poker skills and never lose a dime playing. And if you become a VIP member, you can enjoy a host of great benefits, including seeing all of last season's A8 events, because we were not only here in St. Kitts, but also London, South Africa, and Florida for some great competition.
And instead of risking $100,000 like our Alpha 8 players, on clubwpt.com, you can play for $100,000 in cash and prizes that are given away each month. So check out clubwpt.com.
In the meantime, check out this development. We are down to one table of the 9 players, no longer a short game. And let's take a look at the faces that are a bit unfamiliar to us because they were seated at the outer table. We'll start with the amateurs. Talal Shakerchi is a hedge fund manager who calls London, England home. Next up, we've got, of course, Bill Perkins, the de facto mayor of Christoph Harbor here. He is a venture capitalist and hedge fund manager. Kathy Laney, his friend, her company Suncoast Resources, the largest female-owned business in Texas, and that's saying something.
And we've got a couple of new professionals on the table. We see Dan Coleman, the 24-year-old phenom there, who has taken the poker world by storm over the last 12 months, as well as Alec Torelli, who's been a regular on the WPT tour for a few years now and is now graduating to super high rollers.
Here is that 9-person lineup. Olivier Bousquet is the chip leader right now. Second in chips is the amateur, Talal Shakerchi, and blinds are at 6 and 1200. The ante is 200. The chip leader is first to act with ace-9 offsuit, and right away we see the impact of 9-handed action. That hand would have been played short, but not here.
That's right. Olivier definitely would have raised the ace-9 on our previous table, but now he's got another 5 players to get through before he reaches the blinds.
Look at this. Michael Singh doesn't appear to have shifted any gears now that we're 9-handed. Still limping and still with sub-premium hands. He's got 10-7 offsuit here.
Yeah, I wonder if Michael will get a little bored with the long-handed play and end up limping even more hands.
Kathy Laney is punishing the limp. She makes it 2600 with her ace-8 suited, and the action on the button of Dan Coleman, who looks down at a suited connector, 6-7.
And Kathy is isolating Michael's limp here a little bit, but it's not going to work this time. She raised pretty small, and Dan Coleman with the suited connector behind her is going to make the call.
And do you think this is the kind of call that Dan makes if it was 2 pros in front of him that had made this move?
It's hard to say, and it's going to depend on their stacks, but he's definitely going to make the call when it's 2 amateurs.
I call.
Alec is doing the same from the big blind with that ragged ace.
Yeah, I'm surprised to see him making this call. I guess it's a pot odds call here since he's getting a pretty good price, but you normally don't want to be calling raises out of position with weak offsuit aces.
Like, some of the pros get tired.
Michael Singh, of course, not to be bullied, makes the call. 4 players head to a flop of king, 10, deuce, rainbow, and Michael has the best hand with a pair of 10s. Both Alec and he check it over to Kathy, who won't fire the continuation bet. Dan checks as well with his 7 high, and the turn card is a queen of clubs.
It's an interesting card because it gives Dan a flush draw. It gives both players with an ace a gut shot, but Michael's still the only one who truly is connected.
Kathy Laney is going to bet out 5,000.
She doesn't have much here, and she's got to get through 3 players. Kind of an optimistic bluff unless she intends to follow through on the river.
And you notice that both Kathy and Alec had 0% chance to win the pot. That's because they could only chop. But now that Alec has laid down, Kathy, in fact, has a 6% chance to win the pot. Michael Singh's going to make the call. And the river pairs the board with a king.
It's a good card for Michael, and we've seen him be very stubborn on the river before.
He checks it over to Kathy, and with 27,000 out there, she calmly and coolly bets 10K. Dan folds with the busted flush, and now it's on Michael Singh.
Wow, she just accomplished the impossible because Michael does not fold on the river when he has a pair. Major respect for Kathy.
No bear. I'm in bed in bed. I'm so tired of losing.
No, I had a 10.
Hey, Michael told the truth again.
What do you mean again? He was just following Kathy's lead. Action folded around to Jason Mercier, who takes a look at ace-king and makes it 2,400 to go, a min raise. Alec and Olivier fold, as does Talal Shakerchi, over to Tony Guglietti on the button with a couple of sevens.
I'm expecting him to just call here, but...
Oh, wait a minute, it looks like he's put 3,600 into the pot, but he's also said call.
It looks like an accidental 3-bet here by Tony.
Oh, you're putting in, yeah, we just want to make sure.
Oh.
Oh, and Antonio is returned to the arena here, maybe wanting to take a look at the action, but...
After this hand, we will pause the clock and make it 5 and 5.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, he's coming back in.
$300,000? He's gonna make the investment?
Yeah, he's coming back in, and they're gonna have to break this table up again. It's gonna be a hassle.
It's gonna be a long night.
Did you call already?
Yeah, call.
Resuming the action, Singh puts in an extra 3K with King 6 suited. They have ruled that Tony needs to re-raise to 3,600.
I'm gonna call.
And Bill Perkins wants to play along as well with his Jack 9 offsuit. Action back over to Jason Mercier, and
This is the last hand, you said?
No, he's Antonio's joining, so we're gonna split back to 5 and 5.
Everyone's too distracted by the Antonio situation to even play out this hand.
Antonio said the fish have 5 and the pros have 4. He's like, I'm coming in for the pro side.
You are?
Come on.
Jason taking advantage of an opportunity to move all in here, sensing weakness in the field.
Yeah, this is a nice play by Jason, and he's very happy to see that the accidental 3-bet must stand because now there's a bunch of dead money in the pot, and he can just avoid any confrontation by moving all in.
No shot.
Indeed. Well-executed move.
It worked out nicely.
And Jason's pretty happy with it.
I was afraid of that, too. I was afraid he could ship it here. By the way, I'm putting a bounty for busting up this table. I'm putting a 5K bounty on Antonio.
Esfandiari's return means that we now need to break down our feature table of 9 players and return to 2 tables of 5-handed action. And if you're wondering why Antonio's bought in for a third bean, let's find out.
Last time we spoke, this man was done for the day, but apparently he is taking the third time lucky angle.
Well, 3 is my favorite number. Third time's a charm.
Yes.
And I just went out there, I walked on the beach, I came back, I saw what was going on in the tournament. There's only 9 people left, and I don't want to say, but I like what I see. And I just I can't not jump back in when I can. Even though it's the third bullet at 100 each bullet, it does hurt them. It does hurt financially.
I just want to remind everyone at home, this means $300,000. It's a lot of cash.
Yes. But you can't win unless you give yourself a chance to win.
Well, good luck to you.
Okay.
Let's see if the third time is a charm. Who knows?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Antonio Esfandiari's in 3 bullets at this point, which is definitely more than anyone else. He must be feeling good. He must think that there's, enough reason to rebuy and keep going.
I'll be back.
It made sense to me that he came back. Ultimately, we're talking about $300,000, so it is a lot of money.
I have bought in 3 times in a tournament before, but never in a super high roller event. Hoping to never have to do that.
So far, I've never even rebought 1, so I think it's unlikely for me to take 3.
Well, it must be nice, Olivier Bousquet. Some of us get felted every now and again, you know what I mean? So we have now officially broken down into 2 tables of 5 players. Action will be shorthanded once more, and the breakdown is as follows. You have on the outer table 3 pros and 2 amateurs. The amateurs being Michael Singh, who was formerly on the feature table, and Bill Perkins. Meanwhile, at the feature table, that is where you'll find Antonio Esfandiari on his 3rd bullet. The only other pro there, Dan Coleman, who is on an absolute tear. That is a man on fire in the poker world right now, and they're joined by 3 amateurs. You got to believe that's where Antonio wanted to land.
That's exactly what Antonio wanted and what he was hoping for when he ponied up another $100,000 to get back in this thing.
Kathy Laney has ponied up $4,000 with ace-queen suited to open five-handed action at the feature table, and Dan Coleman with 7-4 suited is going to defend his blind. Those blinds are at 8 and 1600 with a 200 ante. Flop is 10 and a couple of fours. Get this, trip fours for Dan Coleman. Like we said earlier, he's on a tear, but Kathy, after having a check to her, will certainly be betting with the nut flush draw, 6,000.
She bet very quick. I wonder if Dan is going to pick up on that and just raise now and try and make this pot bigger. A lot of people would check call. I think he might see something, and there you go. It is a check raise to 14,000.
Time tells, as we like to call them. He makes it 14,000 under the assumption that he won't lose his opponent because she demonstrated strength with the speed of her bet on the flop.
Correct.
Now a decision for Kathy, 8,000 more for her to call. And she makes that call. And at this point, Dan has to know that she has a 10 or an overpair or the flush draw, correct?
Yeah, and he was eyeing her stack after she called, trying to figure out how he's going to get the rest of her chips.
37-8 in the middle. He fires 22-5, and the jack of diamonds on the turn has given her the gut shot ace-high straight draw as well as the flush draw.
Yeah, Kathy cannot get away from this hand. It's too strong. She has draws to what are almost the nuts. Of course, a full house still possible out there with the paired board, but if she gets a king or a spade, she's going to feel good about the strength of her hand.
Kathy started this pot with just under 110,000, and there is the river, the 5 of spades. Dan Coleman seems undeterred by the fact that the flush is hit, and you see Kathy eyeballing that bet. She can't wait to see it. 30,000 is the number. But with a pair out there, she knows that the nut flush is not the nuts.
Yeah, I was wondering whether Dan was going to bet or check this river. I thought it was close between the two.
I'm all in.
Well, look, it's 38,400 more after Kathy moves all in, and he's got so much invested at this point, but what can he beat?
I mean, he's a very disciplined, thoughtful player. Dan probably realizes that when the flush gets there and the fact that full houses are possible, his trips are not likely to be good. I think he's going to get away.
And indeed, that's exactly what he does. Doesn't mean he has to like it, though.
No.
Weren't expecting that, kid. Punish the young wizards, you know? The kid wins one drop, he thinks he can just do anything he wants. Unbelievable, you know?
That was a good hand.
You fold the 4?
Yeah.
And Antonio needling Dan there a little bit, but pointing out that those are the two winners of the one-drop $1 million buy-in tournament, and Kathy has landed right in between them.
$35 million in one-drop winnings. That's the number that Kathy is flanked by. Probably no big sum in business, but certainly a big sum in poker. We'll return to St. Kitts with more in a moment.
These A8 pros are really on their game. Now you can play WPT caliber poker on your iPhone anywhere you go for free. Log on to the App Store to download Club WPT Express Poker. Remember, it's free and it's fun. I hope to see you in the game. The re-entry period is officially closed, and still holding the chip lead is our very own Olivier Bousquet. Now, Ali and Tony, now that no one can buy back in once they bust, does this change anything in the action?
I don't know about the action, but it certainly changes the look on Antonio's accountant's face. He is relieved.
That or Antonio's backer's accountant's face.
Hey, easy now. All right, we are at 2 tables, and we look at the chip counts. Talal Shakerchi is the chip leader here at the feature table, but not overall. That honor belongs to Olivier Bousquet on the outer table. Second in chips at the feature table is Kathy Laney, both amateurs. Blinds are at 8 and 1600, antes are at 200, and third amateur at the table is on the short stack, and that is Tony Guglietti, who starts this hand off. Looking at ace-deuce offsuit and limping in.
Yeah, you know, we've been critical of our amateurs today for limping too many hands, and weak offsuit aces are exactly the type of hands that get you in trouble post-flop.
Dan Coleman with a hard 8, pocket 4s, is going to raise to 4,500. Wouldn't mind playing heads up in position against one of the amateurs, but Kathy Laney is unlikely to let that happen with ace-queen offsuit. She smooth calls from the small blind.
Yeah, a lot of people re-raise there. Calling's a reasonable option, but against someone like Dan, who is likely to be isolating the limper, I think you should go ahead and re-raise.
Antonio out of the way, but Tony Guglietti cannot lay down, makes the call for an extra 2,900. 3 players to the flop, which is 3-5-7. Kathy checks. Tony with the wheel draw checks. And the best hand, pocket 4s, has a gut shot straight draw to go with the pair.
Yeah, this is a nice texture for Dan's hand, and he's gonna bet it with confidence.
5,500 is the number. Kathy out of the way. Over to Tony. Little does he know it, but if he continues, he's actually looking for one of the 2 remaining 4s in the deck because a couple of them are locked up in Dan's hand. And sure enough, Guglietti calls and hits a deuce on the turn.
And is he gonna lead out here?
He sure is, Tony. For 30,000, that is a massive bet.
Wow, I'm not exactly sure why he's making this bet, whether he's turning his hand into a bluff intentionally, whether he thinks he might have the best hand and he's protecting it. But Dan here, despite the size of that bet, is not going anywhere with his pair and straight draw.
No, he's unconvinced, and the river pairs the board with a 5. A 3rd diamond out there, and look at this.
Wow.
Guglietti is leading for his last 30,300. He is all in.
What a play by Tony here. Now he must know that he's bluffing. He must sense that Dan called with something that's medium strength on the turn and that he could potentially represent a strong hand and blow him off on the river, but it's especially impressive because we've seen Tony play so tight so far.
Would you bluff me here? I want to call so bad. So close, I should just flip a coin. Heads or tails? Is it heads or tails? All right.
Oh, Coleman lays down the best hand.
Can you please show a bluff? That's not a bluff. Not a bluff. Nice hand, Tony. You got the kid confused. That's good for us.
Okay. Antonio certainly doesn't mind. Dan Coleman having some sweat courtesy of the amateurs. You can tell Dan is still thinking about things. Let's go over to our outer table where amateur Michael Singh finds himself short stacked. He's going all in for his remaining 27,000. Perkins instantly says call and shows ace queen of clubs.
Oh man, Michael at risk here with the worst of it, and that's too bad. He's been a thrill to watch today.
Dominated heading to the flop, and in even worse shape after that board. Queen 10 tray.
Done.
And on the turn, Michael Singh's fate is sealed.
Didn't have a spade. Yeah, wish I did. All right.
And without a re-entry option, Michael Singh is eliminated.
Yeah, and he's handling the bust out really well. We always like to see our amateurs on the Alpha 8 perform well, and we certainly found him entertaining today.
Yeah, Michael's game improved throughout the course of the day, and we check in with him now, courtesy of Lynn Gilmartin.
I'm sorry to see you go.
Not a problem. I'm exhausted.
Oh, I bet. It's been a long day.
For me,
it's been a long day.
Yes, yes.
He's still smiling.
I'm smiling, always smiling. I had a good time. Great weather, great everything. A lot of fun. Back again.
All right.
Thanks.
Well, it's been great to watch you play.
Thank you so much.
Back to
Thanks,
you,
guys. Thank you.
You know, it's fair to mention that stamina is a part of playing high-stakes poker, Tony.
Yeah, it is. These things will go on for 8, 10, sometimes 12 hours at a time, and when you get into those late hours, your energy, your concentration drains out of you.
That's it for now. Join us next time from St. Kitts for more WPT Alpha 8 high-stakes poker action. For Ali Najad and Tony Dust, I'm Lynn Gilmartin. Good night. The sun is hot and the water's warm, but don't let this gorgeous setting fool you. Getting burned here will cost you 100 grand. This is WPT Alpha 8. Known for its intoxicating natural beauty, the Caribbean island of St. Kitts is home to the upscale residential resort, Christophe Harbour. It is here at the Pavilion Beach Club where WPT Alpha 8 has once again brought the world of high-stakes poker. This stunning setting has attracted an adventurous group of players, all willing to pay $100,000 to compete for A8 bragging rights. Day 2 starts with 9 players, and the chip leader is A8's very own Olivier Bousquet, who has held that lead since the very beginning. Now, joining us with an inside look into all the high-stakes action is Ali Najad, as always, and our special guest commentator, WPT Raw Deal analyst Tony Dunst, who's sitting in for our chip leader. Guys, what do you think of our lineup?
Well, Lynn, needless to say, when you mix a cocktail of pros and amateurs, split essentially evenly down the middle, you're going to get great poker.
Yeah, you really are, Ali, and we've seen some fantastic adjustments by our professionals against these amateurs who are doing a lot of limping, which they're not really acclimated to at the highest stakes.
Yeah, normally I would be sitting here with Olivier Bousquet, happy to have Tony Dunst here, if for no other reason, because Olivier is currently the chip leader at the table.
Olivier's been both playing well and running well.
You see there, 350,000 plus in front of him at the moment. Let's get a look at the pros.
Yeah, Dan Coleman, who has taken the poker world by storm in 2014, he surpassed Phil Ivey's lifetime earnings in 1 year of playing on the tournament circuit. Antonio Esfandiari, of course, one of the most famous players in the game.
Well, Antonio Esfandiari, who is in for 3 bullets, first time ever in Alpha 8 history, anyone has bought in for $300,000.
Jason Mercier has won major tournaments across the globe for about 6 or 7 years, and Alec Torelli, a guy who's done well on the WPT and is now graduating to WPT Alpha 8.
All right, let's walk us through the amateurs in the lineup. Tony Guglietti, he is a real estate developer who calls Canada home. Talal Shakerchi, he is the gentleman from London, a hedge fund manager who plays plenty of high rollers out on the European side of the pond. Bill Perkins, the 45-year-old venture capitalist and hedge fund manager. The reason that we've all come here, he turned everybody on to this lovely island. And Kathy Laney, she is the Texas Oil CEO, celebrating 30 years in business. First ever female to buy in to the Alpha 8. As far as the amateurs are concerned, seems to be chief among them.
Yeah, I think she's been playing very well so far. We saw her run a bluff last time against 2 players. We saw her get value for her hands. She's raising pre-flop, whereas a lot of the recreational players are limping, so I think her game is the strongest.
Kathy is familiar with Bill Perkins, essentially the co-host of this event. She plays in his home game out in Houston. As we pick up the action, Jason Mercier has raised it up with ace-queen offsuit to 6,000, and Alec Torelli has made the call, dominated with king-queen offsuit. Folds on the button and in the blinds behind Alec. Will leave him heads up against Jason.
Yes.
And that flop is king high and rainbow. Not a bad one for Alec. Broadway draw for Jason, who's got control of the betting and checks it.
Interesting check from Jason here. I expected him to bet and try and force out some of Alec's weaker pairs. I think the check is also a reasonable option.
Alec has bet 9,000 into a pot of 21,000. He spends most of his time in Macau playing in the nosebleed high-stakes cash games out there.
And Jason calls.
A queen on the turn, and it's 2-pair now for Alec, queens for Jason.
That's an interesting card, and it should cost Jason another bet. If I was Alec, I'd bet fairly large, not only because the board is coordinated, but 3 barrels from too many of Jason's hands.
Well, Jason checks it to Alec, and Alec settles on 16,000 for the bet. Not huge.
No, not huge. Not unreasonably small, but I just don't think Jason's going to pay him off on the river that often, so get value while you can.
Oh, interesting. Okay, Jason has made the call. River is a 7, and Mercier checks a 3rd time. 71 grand in the middle.
Alec will probably fire around half pot somewhere in that region. Goes a little under.
31,000.
And Jason in kind of a tough spot here, but I expect him to get away. At this point, there are so many hands in Alec's range that are ahead of Jason, and there's not that many hands that he can be bluffing with.
Jason laying it down and giving the pot over to the 28-year-old who calls Orange County, California home.
The young wizards, they just do it.
It's mature internet wizard.
Mature internet wizard. That's Olivier's new name, Coleman.
You hear Antonio ribbing Olivier a little bit there about being a middle-aged wizard. Is it when you're in your early 30s, you're over the hill now in poker? Tony, what's going on?
I guess in poker you are. In real life, I like to think that I've still got some of my prime left. But in poker, you know, you reach 30 and you're ahead of a lot of guys at that point.
Alec Torelli, that's the first look that we've had of him at the feature table so far. Sign of things to come?
Potentially, he's a guy who's originally from Orange County, California, played on our regular WPT tour for a long time, made a couple of WPT final tables, but since he moved to Macau, he's become kind of an enigma, and nobody's really sure how seriously he takes poker.
Well, we know that they take it pretty seriously out there in Macau. Some of the highest stakes cash games on earth are played out that way. A limp in here from the amateur Tony Guglietti, the Canadian real estate developer. He's built 40,000 homes in the greater Toronto area over the course of his career. And you know what? He hasn't built a lot of pots because he's limped in almost every time we've seen him play a hand pre-flop.
He limps so much it's genuinely surprising when he open raises, and an ace-queen should definitely be raised, but he's playing his style.
Well, Bill Perkins playing his style. He raised it up to 9,000. Been called by Tony, and Tony has flopped trip aces here and checks it over to Bill, who has aces and kings. Perkins wisely checking behind.
Yeah, I like his check there. It's really hard for him to get value from his hand. If Tony has a pocket pair that he limped, he's not going to call a bet. If he has an ace, then you're just bleeding money.
Tony leads out for 20,000 on the turn. Bill making the call. What he doesn't want to see, however, is a second bullet out of Tony on the river. As we see the board pair with a 4. Tony's kicker no longer relevant. Tony's got aces full of 4s.
A little bit of a string bet by Tony there, the 2-fister, but I get the sense at the Alpha 8 they're a little less strict about that.
We're in St. Kitts. Everyone's chilling, Tony.
Yeah, I know. I won't get nitpicky with the rules.
Well, another amateur is less likely to nitpick about something like that. And for that matter, the pros as well. You definitely don't want anyone to feel uncomfortable out here in an event like this.
It's a very home game atmosphere for $100,000 being at risk.
Tony.
Yes, sir.
What you got?
Bill just flat out asks him, what do you have? Just in case he feels like giving it away for free.
Sometimes they have an ace. What are you gonna do?
Wow, solid laydown by Bill Perkins.
Yeah, good fold by Bill Perkins. Yeah, Tony did get value once he connected with his hand post-flop. So he's not scared, he's just a little too passive pre-flop.
I didn't believe it until the end.
You said you had an ace?
No, I said sometimes they have an ace.
Pretty sure he wasn't folding an ace.
I think he saved me money, though, by betting that big.
Well, Perkins suggesting that perhaps a smaller bet out of Tony would have been paid off. Guglietti certainly happy to take that pot down, but has been clearly the least aggressive of the amateurs in this event.
I guess if the bet had only been the right hand or only the left hand, maybe he gets a call, but when he combined them, then he just forced Bill into the fold.
One scoop maybe, but 2 scoops, no. Antonio lays down the 10-7 off. Jason and Alec also send their cards back to the muck. Folded over to Dan Coleman with Queen 5 suited.
6,500.
He's going to raise it up to 6,500. Not the kind of holding we expect him to be open raising with, right?
No, but he's on the hijack here, which is 2 positions off the button, and the 2 players between him and the blinds are recreational ones. So you're going to see him raise more hands than you expect here.
Talal Shakurchi laid down his ace. Bill Perkins not going to do the same with a bit better ace, ace 10.
And the advantage of having recreational players behind you is that many pros in Bill Perkins' position would re-raise a hand like ace 10. Bill just calls, and that gives Dan an opportunity to outflop him or outplay him.
Flop is ace, queen, 7, all diamonds. A quick check from Coleman. And Perkins with top pair and the 10 high flush draw fires 10,000. Coleman's going to call the 10. Kind of an odd spot for Coleman, isn't it? Out of position with queens and a very weak kicker?
Yeah, Dan must not expect Bill to be capable of bluffing on multiple streets. Otherwise, he'd likely just give up on the flop because so many of the turns and rivers will be hard to play.
And take a look at a 4 on the turn.
Sure.
And interestingly enough, Dan quickly checks after the 4 rolls off on the turn. Bill bets and Dan quickly folds, almost as though he was just hoping that Bill wouldn't fire the turn and he would get control of the action on the river.
That's exactly what he was hoping.
I was going all the way if he tried anything tricky.
Dan Coleman, the youngest player at this table, but also the one with arguably the best resume.
Coleman's a beast. I mean, he's super wizard, just goes with his gut, follows his heart.
You know, he's capable of anything, so you have to keep that in mind.
When he's in pots, he's there to win. He takes strong lines, and he's not a passive player at all.
He won in London, so I got to see a lot of his play. He was lucky sometimes, and he was also played very well, which of course is a fantastic combination for winning tournaments, which he does regularly.
Yeah, Coleman's got quite a bit of swag under his belt right now, having eclipsed Phil Ivey's career earnings in a matter of a year. Now, clearly, a lot of that came courtesy of the $1 million one-drop win that he picked up. Those sorts of opportunities weren't exactly available to Phil and many of the elder statesmen of poker throughout the years. As we pick up the action here, Kathy Laney has raised it up to 7,000. Action on Antonio. Kathy is on the button here with ace-10 off. And he's going to re-raise her to 20,000 from the small blind, holding queen-9 off.
Antonio very aggressive against the casual players at the table. He really does try and target them. But Jason Mercier is conscious of that and might come over the top of him here with ace-jack.
On.
Well, Jason going all in.
I was going to do that.
Jason Mercier reading the situation. He knows that Kathy is among the most aggressive amateurs at the table, capable of attacking the blinds from the button. Antonio capable of exploiting that. This is very much about the metagame as much as it is about his holding, isn't it?
This is a good demonstration of why Jason Mercier is among the best.
Laney wisely laying down the button. She was dominated.
$77 to me.
Over, under on the amount of minutes that Antonio postures.
I'm going to say 90 seconds of posturing, and I'll take the under. It's almost as though he wants to take a minute to honor the 20,000 in chips that he is saying goodbye to, unless he somehow finds the call button here, which is doubtful.
Yeah, and I understand making recreational players sweat a little bit when they're at risk, but this is Jason Mercier. He's been winning major events since 2008. He doesn't care whether he busts in this hand or not.
Yeah, and he certainly isn't going to be affected by a quick fold from Antonio that might suggest he was just making a move here. Antonio's table image is his table image regardless.
Yeah, Jason, very sharp play there.
Well, Antonio with a little misstep, and it costs him. Alpha 8 is brought to you by ClubWPT.com. Fun, exciting poker you can play for free.
Learn to play poker like our Alpha 8 high rollers for free at ClubWPT.com, where VIP members can watch past episodes, read insider tips, and study up on the pros. Everyone has a chance to win a share of $100,000 in cash and prizes only on ClubWPT.com. So get in the game today. You're playing a poker tournament for a $100,000 buy-in, and you're risking big money, but you're always having such a good time. What is that about you that allows you to have such a good time?
Well, it's perspective. You know, realizing that I can afford the $100,000 to get into this tournament, right? I'm with friends, I'm in a beautiful environment. It's all about having perspective.
Well, you're a joy to watch, Bill. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Got to admit that there is a wonderful childlike property to Bill Perkins when he comes to these events, and it's infectious. It really puts everybody at ease.
Yeah, it really does. I'd love to trade lives with that guy.
I would love to have some more perspective in my bank account. All right, there's Olivier Bousquet at the top of the leaderboard, followed by none other than Bill Perkins and Tony Guglietti, a couple of amateurs. Down at the bottom, Talal Shakerchi, also an amateur, sitting on the short stack right now. He will be first to act.
Sitting right next to Perkins, who's apparently not been able to organize any fans or air conditioning out here. He's got the towel going on his head.
Yeah.
They're very different sizes.
He's not making a fashion statement. It's all function here, folks. He has raised it up to 7,000 with King-9 suited and gets through everyone, but not Jason Mercier, whose pocket nines are going to warrant a call. No 3-bet?
I like Jason's call here. He's on that awkward stack size where it probably plays better as a call than a 3-bet, and Bill's opening an early position, so you can't be that confident that nines are the best hand.
Yeah, Jason with about 40 big blinds, with the blinds at 1,500 and 3,000. He started the hand with roughly 120K. And we get two more calls behind Jason's action from Alec Torelli's King-Queen, as well as Dan Coleman's Queen-8 suited. And look at this flop, Tony. 8, 9, 10, a rainbow. A little something for everybody.
Yeah, something for everyone, but Jason is the only one that's flopped strong enough here to feel confident in his hand and likely is going to re-raise Bill. I think Bill could have saved his bet here and just checked and seen how this pot developed. There are 3 players on a very coordinated board he has to get through.
Perkins fired 12,000. Mercier says, let's play for more. 25 more to be exact, total of 37,000. Too early lays down the 2 overs and gut shot straight draw. Bottom pair in the gut shot for Dan, also into the muck. Now it's back over to Bill, and he's gonna be steaming that towel out a little bit after this raise.
This is the problem with betting here. His hand can't actually take much more aggression, and if he doesn't improve on the turn, he's probably gonna end up check folding.
Yeah, no card could have hit the turn that would have put Bill out in front against the set. He wisely lays it down, and Jason collects the chips in this particular situation. We talked before about Mercier's demeanor at the table. He really does seem like somebody disinterested, but he is an acutely attentive person at the poker table.
Yeah, it's surprising how focused he is for someone who appears utterly disinterested.
Ace-queen suited will certainly pique Mercier's interest as he's under the gun. And we'll raise it up to 8,000 with the blinds having gone up to 2,000 and 4,000. Ante remains at 500. Over to Dan Coleman. He's got ace-king, sitting on just shy of 100,000, and he'll ship it all in.
Yeah, Dan down to about 23 blinds here. I think moving all in is a natural play, especially against another professional who will likely identify a small re-raise as strong.
Perhaps even stronger than moving all in?
Yeah, I think so in a situation like this where you're so short, it looks like you would only re-raise if you were comfortable committing your entire stack.
It's so clear.
All right, now I have a really tough decision. How much is your all-in? 90?
I mean, he's got that parliament, which got
Yeah, do you have ace-king so often?
Rooms, right? Like his house probably has 20, 30 rooms.
Oh, it's like Mercier can see through Dan's cards.
Secret basement. Think about it.
Jason is calling out the worst-case scenarios here, but he's also hoping that Dan shoves all of his pairs or some worse hands like king-queen suited or ace-jack.
How do you feel when your opponent calls out your hand in a spot like this, Tony?
In this particular spot, it makes me hope that he'll call because that means he has a worse hand than ace-king.
This is like the public rooms. Yeah, these are the public.
These are the public rooms you can know about. There are many, many more rooms in the White House.
They probably have like an underground.
There is an
bunker.
underground bunker.
Almost folded.
Jason's gonna make the call here and get the bad news.
Got to lose one of these eventually, though.
Dominated heading to the flop. Coleman's gotta love this.
Yeah, he is loving it.
Yeah, I was gonna fold too.
Pretty tough to fold, man.
I know.
Dan in great shape to double up here.
God, I thought you didn't have ace-king when you said that.
Yeah, I was hoping that.
Seems like there's so many queens out there just ready to come out.
And the flop, a queen high flop. Queen 6-4. Mercier way out in front now. This is not what Dan Coleman had in mind when he moved all in. And on the turn, he hasn't hit a king. He is down to just 2 outs once with 1 king already in the muck. Can he hit it and stay alive? No, he cannot, and that is the end of the road for Dan Coleman, who will send his remaining 93.5 over to Jason Mercier and put a smile on the face of just about everybody who's got to be relieved that Coleman is no longer in contention.
Yeah, one of the top players in the world now off the table. Dan said that he hadn't lost one of those in a while. Eventually, you do have to lose one.
Well, with that surprise 3-outer, we've lost Dan Coleman in 9th place. And that means we are now down to the Alpha 8.
Welcome back to the WPT Alpha 8 St. Kitts event, our $100,000 buy-in super high roller, where moments ago we saw Jason Mercier give Dan Coleman a bad beat.
There, there's one. Ah, sick.
Well, it's going to make you happy hitting a 3-outer, Jason.
Yeah, definitely, especially against a good player like Dan, and to knock him out. You know, now I have a good stack, good chance to win, and one less top player at the table.
And now you're at the final table. You've been here before. You feeling good?
Yeah, I feel good. You know, been really close in a couple of these, so I think as long as they don't give me pocket aces, I'll be all right.
Ooh, he hasn't had nice history with those.
Jason is telling the truth there. Aces have been the curse for Mercier. How about in Florida when J.C. Tran used ace-10 suited to cripple his stack after making a flush? And to add insult to injury in South Africa, an even more painful situation as he's up against King-Queen for Kinesh Pather, who made a 4 flush to take a huge piece of his stack. Tony, when you're running like that in a single event or across a series of events, Does it ever cause you to alter your play? Will you stop playing aces the same way, for example?
No, a professional like Jason's not going to alter his play because he's running bad with aces. It's frustrating when it happens in that event, and you've got to stomach the beat, but I think between the events, there's a lot of water under the bridge, and he's probably forgotten about it.
Well, there's a lot of chips over the bridge as we look at Mercier's 298,500. Good for second place right now to Olivier Bousquet's chip lead. The short stack belongs to Talal Shakerchi. And with the blinds at 2,000 and 4,000, he is certainly in an all-in or fold situation. And on this occasion, he'll fold over to Bill Perkins, who's got pocket fives and raises it up to 10,000. Bousquet, the chip leader with ace-10 offsuit, will three-pop it to 25,000 total. Snowman for Kathy Laney, and she wastes no time mucking.
Yeah, she had the best hand there, but I think that's a good fold. If she's gonna play that hand, she has to go all in pre-flop, and I think that's aggressive for Olivier's range there. Olivier, meanwhile, showing us the difference between a professional and an amateur. Earlier, we saw Bill Perkins flat call ace-10 in a similar position, and I mentioned a professional would likely three-bet. That's exactly what Olivier does here.
Yeah, well, Perkins called the extra 15,000. The flop is ace-7-3. Perkins checks it, and Olivier checks top pair behind him on the dry board.
I like that check. It's designed to induce some action or a bluff from Bill Perkins, and he does follow through here.
Mission accomplished. He hits aces and tens on the turn, and now Bill fires 20,000 with the 2-5s. It's not that Bill thinks fives are good. He just can't resist the temptation of trying to steal the pot. Olivier not going to raise, however, just going to give Bill some more rope, calling the 20K, and the king of diamonds on the river, Tony.
Yeah, that's not the card that Olivier was hoping to see on the river, but he's still feeling very good about his hand, and he's going to bet for value here, but we know that Bill's not going to waste much time before folding.
Yeah, well, it's more comforting to see Bill check in front of you if you're Olivier after that card. Olivier bets 75,000 into a 100K pot, and Perkins says no thank you, sending his fives into the muck and sending more chips the chip leader's way.
Yeah, well-played hand by Olivier. I like that he three-bet in position there and isolated the amateur player.
There's a look at all that beautiful cash. First place will be good for over $720,000, and that's not all our winner will get. They'll get a pair of our Monster 24K headphones and, of course, the Hublot King Power Unico Titanium watch made especially for the World Poker Tour. We had 15 total entries from 11 players, and 3 of them were courtesy of Antonio Esfandiari himself.
My favorite part about that payout list is that if Antonio gets third, he loses money.
He's got a silver medal or better in order to be profitable. Ace-8 offsuit for Alec Torelli, now the youngest player at the table after Coleman's elimination shortly before the break. Torelli calls Orange County, California home and has been playing the high-stakes cash games in Macau. Over $1.5 million in live tournament earnings over the course of his career. He's made it 9,000 to go, and action over to Talal Shakerchi with Jack-9 offsuit, and he sails off for 42.5.
Oh, this isn't good, Ali. He doesn't have enough chips to force Alec to fold whatever it is he raised. You saw that Alec called pretty much immediately. Unfortunately, for this play to work from Talal, he needs more like 60,000 in his stack as opposed to 40.
I like Jack-9 here.
All right,
or you can have it.
7-4 deuce on the board is going to make it a serious uphill climb for Jack-9 to win the pot. And that ace on the turn means that's it for the 50-year-old hedge fund manager who calls London, England home. One of the top 20 philanthropists in all of the UK. And he certainly donated $100,000 worth of buy-in and his remaining stack over to Alec Torelli.
It's tricky, that one. It's tricky.
And Alec Torelli, a guy who is all business at the table, but as our Lynn Gilmartin found out, knows how to enjoy himself as well.
We are at Ital Creations on Farry Organic Farm here on the gorgeous island of St. Kitts. Now, you take very good care of yourself. That's a big priority of yours when you're traveling the poker circuit?
Yeah, definitely. Poker's a marathon, it's not a sprint, and so taking care of your body and your mind is just so important, and the types of things I put into my body really influence dramatically my ability to perform my best mentally.
I've really noticed a huge shift in the culture in poker where players are actually understanding now that mind-body connection.
It's kind of like in golf. I mean, no golfer before Tiger Woods really was able to bench 350. And so he really shifted what was the demand and what you must do to succeed at that level.
And you said that you started playing poker professionally at 18. How did that start?
So I started playing with friends, and I always progressively took it more seriously, and I loved the game. And I wasn't able to play in the US, so my first event was the Bahamas, and then I went to Aruba, and then every event I went to, I would be physically in these locations for these amazing poker events, but all I did was play cards. I didn't see anything, and I didn't take advantage of the best part of what it is to be a professional poker player, being able to travel around the circuit. And so it was really like feeling this regret of like, oh my gosh, I did so much, and it's just this huge blur of what happened. So that's really had a profound impact on the way I view poker now and some of the decisions I make.
At the moment, you spend a lot of time in Macau, playing a lot of cash games. How big do the Macau cash games get?
You know, the biggest advantage that the businessmen have or the pros is that they just have pretty much an unlimited amount of money that they could play with. And so their strategy for when they're losing is to double the stakes. There's been times when the buy-in's been, you know, upwards of $1 million US in certain games out there, and it's a ride, for sure.
Suddenly the $100,000 Alpha 8 seems affordable.
I don't know that we could call it more affordable, can we, Tony?
No, but when you play $1 million cash game, $100,000 tournament isn't as intimidating.
Indeed. Down to 7 players when we return to St. Kitts.
Bill, what do you love about St. Kitts?
Well, I love the history. You know, places such as Brimstone Fortress on the island, it's got a lot of rich history. You can see some of that in the architecture downtown. The greenery, the beaches, the water, and the people. It's a very, very, very nice place to visit and a better place to stay.
It is a quiet and relaxing, truly vacation-like destination, Tony, and I know that everybody who comes out every year understands why it is that Bill Perkins loves St. Kitts as much as he does. Even more to love when you got 402,000 in front of you and your name's Olivier Bousquet. That is your chip leader right now. Short stack belongs to the amateur Kathy Laney, although Kathy's been playing pretty well, Tony.
Yeah, she has. We saw her lose that pot against Olivier, but she's not wasting her chips.
No, and making good, sound pre-flop decisions as well. We pick up the action with Jason Mercier, having raised to 8,000 with Jack-9 suited. Folded around to Bill Perkins. He's got King-Queen offsuit on the button.
Yeah, Bill could call or raise here. On these stack sizes, I think it's more natural to call. Plus, his style thus far has preferred calling over 3-betting.
Yeah, certainly more of a pot control type of approach. Outside the re-entry period, somewhat understandable for the amateurs. His smooth call allows Olivier to creep in with Queen-Jack suited from the small blind, and Kathy is going to participate as well for an extra 4,000 with pocket deuces.
Everyone with legitimate hands.
Laney is duck hunting. No ducks there, though. Ace-10-5, and no pair anywhere.
And nobody is really connected on this board. The 2s are technically ahead, but Olivier's hand might be best here. He's got a gut shot and a couple of backdoor draws.
A bet of 15,500 by the pre-flop raiser, Jason Mercier. A little too liberal, perhaps, against 3 opponents?
Well, it's a texture that shouldn't connect with them that well, especially the 2 players in the blinds, so I don't mind Jason's flop bet here.
Check.
It narrowed the field down to heads up between himself and Olivier. Bousquet checks it over to Jason, who has hit a pair of 9s on the turn and knuckles behind. Olivier picked up the open-ended straight draw, and on the end, the board pairs with an ace.
And when Olivier calls on the flop, he's both drawing to his straight draw and backdoor flush draw, as well as setting Jason up for an opportunity to bluff him on later streets by representing an ace or a 10.
And that's exactly what Bousquet is doing to the tune of 40,000 here. Mercier really with no choice but to lay down, right?
Yeah, I think that's a good fold by Jason. There just aren't many hands that Olivier should have that are bluffing him there. Typically, he's going to show up with the ace or the 10, and he's going to bet the river with both of those hands.
You mentioned a concept that I think a lot of people out there find peculiar, that you could have the best hand, throw it in the muck, and that can still be considered a good fold.
Yeah, correct. When you think about what Olivier shows up, or maybe even a slow-played set, whereas only rarely will he show up with a queen-jack suited, king-queen suited type hand that is missed on the river.
Right. Alec Torelli with ace-7 suited makes it 10,500 to play, and Tony Guglietti, who's been largely passive to this point with ace-10 offsuit, just flat calls on the button.
I don't want to play your button.
Now, we've seen our casual players flat call in this position with ace-10 offsuit, and we saw Olivier 3-bet it pre-flop.
Well, Olivier is going to participate with his 8-6 suited. 3 players will take the flop. And that flop is Jack 5-6, all clubs, pair of sixes for Olivier, who checks it over to Alec. Only club in the hand belongs to Guglietti. Alec is going to bet 12,500.
Alec doesn't have much here, but this is also a difficult board to play if you don't have a club, so he anticipates that his opponents will give up easily here when they haven't connected.
Well, Olivier certainly gave up, but not so much for Tony, who has position and has called the 12-5 with his 10-high flush draw. Turn card is a 4.
It's an interesting card. It gives Alec an open-ended straight draw, but he likely puts Tony on a jack, and he's uncertain whether he can make him fold that with another bet.
62,000 in the pot. Will Torelli fire a second barrel? No, he will not. Checking. And Guglietti says, I'll take the free card. Here comes the river. It's a 7 of clubs, giving Guglietti the best hand.
Well, if Alec does put Tony on a jack, this is a good card for him to bluff, despite the fact that he's picked up a pair. There's 4 to a straight and 4 to a flush out, so if Tony's got something like Jack 10 or Queen Jack without a club, it should be easy to get him to fold on this river.
And you see Torelli taking a look over at Tony, trying to determine whether or not Tony has a club. And, well, there's your answer as Tony moves all in, but that is a horribly aggressive play by Tony with a 10-high flush.
Yeah, and I don't want to be mean, but it's just straight up horrible. If he has the best hand, he should just call, but when he shoves, he's only getting called by better hands, so that's just a disaster there. He wins the pot this time, but in a lot of other situations, we would have seen Tony go bust.
Learn to play poker like our Alpha 8 high rollers for free at clubwpt.com, where VIP members can watch past episodes, read insider tips, and study up on the pros. Everyone has a chance to win a share of $100,000 in cash and prizes only on clubwpt.com. So get in the game today.
Welcome back to beautiful Christoph Harbor on the lovely island of St. Kitts here in the Caribbean for the continuation of our $100,000 buy-in WPT Alpha 8 event. But some players, Tony, have made it even higher stakes.
Yeah, Antonio's in for 3 $100,000 bullets, so even if he gets 3rd place here and cashes out, he's gonna lose $9,000.
Yeah, $291,000 for 3rd place would leave him at minus 9K on the effort, but sitting on just 79,000 and change, that is a very uphill climb for Antonio with the blinds at 2,500 and 5,000. He just doesn't have a lot of breathing room.
That's right. He's approaching a push-fold type stack where he's either all in or just folds pre-flop. That's not quite the case, but Alec Torelli also approaching that zone.
Yeah, just a few thousand separate him and Antonio, and Alec has 9-7 offsuit. Doesn't appear ready to let it go. Makes it 10,000 to go.
Yeah, he's got 2 of the recreational players in the blinds to his left, so he's still attacking them with his short stack.
Well, Tony, on the more stubborn side of the spectrum, is calling with ace-5 offsuit from the small blind. Perkins accepts the invitation with jack-10 off. 3 players to a flop of all deuces.
Wow, that is as uncoordinated a board as you'll find.
None of these 3 players have a pair. Tony checks the best hand with ace-high. Bill does the same, and now it's back over to Alec with 33,500 in the middle and just over 70,000 left in front of him. He's going to put 12,000 out there in the hopes that he can take it down right away, but as we see, Guglietti says no dice. Perkins lays down, and an extra 24,000 slide into the middle. An 8 on the turn. Action on Tony, who checks once more. And what are you thinking if you're Alec?
It's very hard for Alec to bluff here because his opponent either has ace-high or a pair, and he can't be sure that he'll fold either of them. So I like that he gave up.
Yeah, he checked the turn, and now the river is a queen of clubs, and Tony's gonna do the betting, a real small bet of 10,000.
He's making a kind of blocking bet here where he doesn't want to check and make a difficult decision, so he just puts 10,000 out there and hopes that will end the hand.
Yeah, defensive posture relieving Torelli of the decision-making as Tony takes down the pot and inherits the button. Alec kind of sweating it out here, grabs himself a cool towel. He is officially the short stack. Alec down to just 58,500.
The entire table turning into a sauna here.
Kathy Laney, one of the amateurs in the event, makes sure Olivier Bousquet gets his cards and takes a look at her own holding in 9-4 suited. Not enough for her to participate.
Feels like I'm in a pool right now.
And Torelli moves all in with ace-10 offsuit for 58,000. Gets through Tony's 8-5 off on the button. Bill Perkins folds the small blind, but there's the call. Olivier Bousquet wakes up with pocket sevens, and he'll be the favorite heading to the flop against Alec Torelli's ace-10. Alec hoping to hit an ace or a 10. Here comes the flop. Ace-9 for Torelli out in front, looking good against Olivier's 2 sevens.
Yeah, at this point, Alec becomes a 9-1 favorite on the flop, though you can tell he's a professional. He doesn't show that he's relieved yet.
Yeah, 2 more cards to come. And the turn. Oh, a 7 of clubs, and that is a disaster for Alec Torelli. He's drawn dead. Olivier Bousquet spikes the 2-outer and sends Torelli packing.
Well, he's handling it very well, showing some class, shaking hands.
Yep, certainly not his first time in a high-stakes event, and if it's any consolation, we give him an opportunity to talk to the lovely Lynn Gilmartin.
I'm sorry to see you go. That was a rough turn, huh?
Yeah, I mean, you know, what happens on the flop to give you a little excitement, but it was a dramatic finish, so it's cool,
It
fun.
sure was.
Didn't turn out my way, but, you know, it easily could have, so.
And apart from Olivier's hot streak, who else do you think is doing really well today?
Olivier just is crushing it so
It's
well
just
that
the
he's just
Olivier
like, seems,
show.
actually, you know, Tony has a really particular playing style, and I think that he does things that are really unconventional, and I think that throws a lot of the pros for a loop, and so it's really hard to put him on a hand, and I think that's been working really well for him, so I look for him to do well as well.
All right, well, thank you so much, Alec. And with Alec's exit, we are now down to 6. Poker here in St. Kitts is the best, and now you can take the fun of Hold'em anywhere you go with Club WPT Express Poker. Grab your iPhone and download Club WPT Express Poker from the App Store. It's fun and it's free. So what are you waiting for? Get in the game and play.
Free poker with your friends on your iPhone. What could be better than the Club WPT Express Poker app? Download it now. Not you, Tony.
What? Why not? I'm trying to play.
We are working, my friend, and so are the 6 players remaining at our final table, battling it out for that $720,000 plus first place prize. 3 pros, 3 amateurs.
So our chief of buy-ins, Antonio Esfandiari, has got to get second or better to make a profit.
That's the kind of title you don't want to end up with. Chief of buy-ins.
Chief of
3
buy-ins.
bullets for the first time ever. $300,000 invested so far. Antonio with pocket 10s on the button has made it 12,000 to go. Mercier with pocket 6s now in the small blind.
And Antonio's pretty short here, so I think Jason might re-raise and just try and put his whole stack at risk.
Antonio started this hand with 129,000.
Jason has re-raised here. He's going up to 34,000.
You like that play with 2 6s against a guy like Antonio on the button?
Yeah, Antonio's a very aggressive player. He's down to about 20-something blinds.
All in.
And I think Jason is going to call pretty quick here.
As Fandiari says all in, Jason makes the call and oops.
2 10s. Jason has 2 6s.
Mercier a 4-1 dog heading to the flop, and the flop is 8-8-4. No help to Mercier. A 9 on the turn. 6 is not looking very good, but perhaps he can pull one of those Bousquet moves.
No.
Oh, on the river, it's the 7 again.
He did get the Bousquet 7 of clubs, but this time he needed a 6.
Close, but not quite, and Esfandiari breathes a sigh of relief.
Jason looks as apathetic as always. Did I win? Did I lose? Who cares?
Time to play some poker.
Yeah, we haven't seen much from Antonio lately. He's been really short stacked, so he's been quite tight and passing up on some of his marginal strength hands pre-flop.
He's such an active player, Tony. He hates being on the short stack.
Yeah, and captain as opposed to the re-entry captain.
Ooh, yeah, re-entry captain's not a title anybody wants to have.
Not a good hat to wear.
We see Olivier Bousquet creeping up on that $500,000 chip mark. No one in the field has yet to tip that scale. Bousquet will be on the button here, and it's Jason Mercier who wakes up with the pocket 7s. Making it 10,000 to go. Canadian Tony Guglielmi makes the call with ace-9 offsuit. That has been his MO all event long, and it's Bill Perkins with ace-jack offsuit now.
All in.
He moves all in. Perkins has 104,000. How about this for timing? High.
Doesn't want to seem too strong and too eager to get all the chips in the middle, so he's showing some concern for what he could quote-unquote potentially lose. It just doesn't get any better than this. A raise, a call, and a shove in front of you, you look down at kings. And I do like Bill's move in here. There's a bunch of dead money in the pot with that raise and call. Ace-Jack's a pretty strong hand, but unfortunately, Olivier wakes up behind him.
All in.
Bousquet moves all in for 485.
You just can't shake it,
Sevens hit the muck, as does ace-9, which means it's back around to Bill Perkins.
We know one of his aces is dead.
Can't shake him. I got 2 flush draws at least. Did you fold an ace?
Sevens.
Olivier's only risking 104,000 of his 485 all in.
Bill learns that he's 2 outing. I like that Tony apologized to him for having been dealt the ace. Oh, I'm sorry, man. You got 2 outs.
Jack 9-8 on the flop improves Perkins' chances.
Club or ace or a jack, I'll take.
He can now hit a jack or an ace to make the best hand. Turn card, no help to him. And will Bill Perkins' $200,000 investment keep on working for him, or is it bankrupt?
Not this time. 5 of diamonds on the river. No help to Bill Perkins. He's eliminated in 6th place.
And Olivier Bousquet has busted Bill Perkins for the 2nd time in this event.
Yeah, Olivier's had his number all day. Now he has his chips.
Bill Perkins, though, not one to let his spirits be diminished. All smiles as he says goodbye and leaves behind 5 players to do battle for the top 3 slots, all of which will be paid. And Perkins will make his way out to the beach to soak up some sun, but not before soaking up some FaceTime with our Lynn Gilmartin.
Bill, so sorry to see you go.
I know. 2nd time by Olivier. I can't escape him.
Olivier is just getting hit with the deck with cards.
He's smacking us.
He's unstoppable.
Yeah, he's a beast.
He really is.
You gotta accept it and just move on.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much. That is it for us today. Thank you so much for watching. Dad and Tony Dunst and Bill Perkins. I'm Lynn Gilmartin. Good night. The cool calm of the Caribbean is anything but comforting when tonight's players could win or lose a fortune. This is WPT Alpha 8. Unparalleled for its warmth and hospitality, St. Kitts is one of the Caribbean's most authentic and enchanting islands. All the more reason why our players journeyed here, each risking $100,000 to play. Now, action is about to start back up, so let's head over to our own high-rolling experts, Ali Najad and Tony Dunst, seated comfortably in the club at WPT.com Skybox. Hi, guys.
Hi, Lynn. Is there any other way other than comfortably to be seated on a beautiful island like this? Certainly a very enviable place to be playing poker, the Christophe Harbor here in St. Kitts. Tony, we are down to 5 players right now. Decent split between pros and amateurs, with Olivier Bousquet being the story.
Yeah, Olivier has led wire to wire ever since he won a big pot against Bill Perkins, who he knocked out twice in this tournament. I just can't imagine that Olivier doesn't finish in the top 3, but I really like him to win.
There's a couple of other pros at the table, though. Antonio Esfandiari, who's in for $300,000. 3 entries total, and you made the point that he needs to finish 2nd just to be profitable, because 3rd place money, $291,000, isn't going to cut it. But let's talk about Jason Mercier, the other guy.
Yeah, Jason Mercier, one of the best young professionals in the world. He's done pretty well in the Alpha 8 before, but as we discussed last time, he's had some really bad luck with to take down his first WPT Alpha.
Well, here's the good news, Tony. He hasn't had aces, so things have been going well thus far. Couple of amateurs remaining in the field. Tony Guglietti, the Canadian, builds and develops residential communities when he's not playing poker. $277,000 in front of him. But it's Kathy Laney who is in that danger zone with a little over $100,000. She's in for $200,000. First ever female to buy in to the Alpha 8. Blinds are at 2,500 and 5,000, though. That 20 blind range tends to be the one where you start to see the all-in or folds.
Yeah, and that's tough to play when you're a professional. As a non-professional player, I'm curious whether Kathy will verge too tight or too loose.
Well, we'll find out as the action gets underway. Antonio folds to Jason, who raises to 10,000 with 10-9 offsuit. He is sticking with that min-raise number he has throughout the event. Olivier will call an extra 5,000 with pocket deuces, and we'll take the flop heads up. And that flop is 9-9-8. Not a bad one if you're Jason.
It's the type of board where Olivier might call one bet here. I expect him to, but Jason actually checks behind. Very sharp.
Now, you think that Olivier is going to have his radar up here?
Check.
Why would Jason check a paired board like that?
Well, it's possible he believes Jason has something like ace high or king high and is just trying to get to showdown cheap and doesn't see much value in betting, but we know, of course, that Jason is much stronger than that.
Queen on the turn, and Jason has picked up a gut shot straight draw, betting 9,000.
Yeah, and it's going to work for him here. I think if he had gone much larger, Olivier probably would have given up. The queen is not a good card for his pair of twos.
River is the 4 of spades. Olivier checks.
The backdoor flush draw has gotten there, so now there's an awful lot of hands, including straights, flushes, and of course trips and overpairs, that beat Olivier's deuces.
28,000 is the bet from Mercier on the end. Bousquet making the right decision, laying down his deuces and giving Mercier the first pot of tonight's action.
Olivier is, one of the best players in the world. I never really want to have him at the table.
He's also a very good commentator. I laid down the best hand for sure.
I think if you're going to err on one side in poker tournaments, you should definitely err on the side of aggression.
If you commentate, you do give away a lot of information by how you think and how you play.
He's had a lot of experience just seeing a lot more hands that we've played, so I think that will give him a little bit of an edge.
A lot of commentators won't give 100% of what they think or how they analyze hands. He's a smart enough guy to flip it and reverse it, and so, it goes both ways.
Well, you wonder whether or not Bousquet is conscious of some of the commentary that he has had about some of these other players in our time working together. Are you concerned, Tony, that if you end up playing in some of these Alpha 8s that you've given away some secrets?
Oh, I think that's awful optimistic, Ali.
Queen 10 suited for Olivier, who has called 5,000 on the button, just limping in after action was folded around to him.
I'm not sure why he's doing this. Queen 10 suited is a really good hand. I guess he's trying to encourage Kathy entering the pot, but it's not as though she makes big mistakes, or maybe he just knew he was going to flop a straight.
Yeah, there it is, 8-9 jack.
And look at this board for everyone involved.
2 diamonds out there, 2 pair for Kathy Laney, Jackson 8s, the open-ended straight flush draw for Antonio Esfandiari, and the nuts for Olivier Bousquet. This is going to be trouble.
This is going to be a huge pot for one that was limped 3 ways pre-flop.
Olivier has bet 8,000.
I'm all in.
And Kathy is just going to ship it right in there, 112.5. What do you do if you're Antonio?
This is actually a very difficult spot.
This could be the most confused I've ever been.
And I don't blame him for being confused. He's got a ton of equity in this hand, but he has to be worried that someone has a larger flush draw than he does. If Kathy has 2 diamonds, then he's actually in pretty bad shape here.
And the 10 is not a great card to get there with, because obviously any queen would make a higher straight.
Call.
Wow, excellent fold there by Antonio.
I had 6-7 of diamonds. Holy.
Nice hand.
He lays down. Kathy rolls over Jackson 8s. Olivier shows her the nuts.
I was check raising you. I had 6-7 of diamonds. I think you might have saved me. That's pretty sick.
Kathy Laney's $200,000 investment is at risk here. And she heads to the turn looking for a jack or an 8 to fill up.
Or running diamonds, actually.
That's right. She does have the only diamond out of these 2 holdings. And the turn is an 8 right away. Olivier Bousquet drawing dead. Kathy Laney is going to double through the chip leader and stay alive. And you see, Antonio would not have gotten there.
You know what's sick about that hand, Ali, is if Olivier raises pre-flop, Kathy folds, Antonio calls, and then Antonio will check, probably go all in on the flop, and Olivier stacks him, and that's it.
I gotta get lucky sometimes.
Gotta get lucky to win.
So Olivier limping in effectively cost him this pot and ended up saving Antonio's tournament life.
If we want to talk about it from a results-oriented perspective, absolutely.
Yeah, these are clearly hypotheticals and speculation, but that's what we're here for. As you see Olivier taking what might be the biggest hit that he's taken so far in this event right now. But the good news is, he has given his chips not to one of his fellow pros, but to one of the amateurs.
I just like that we're professional speculators.
That's all right. That's what we're here for, Tony. And the action continues five-handed. Jason Mercier in the cutoff with ace-10 offsuit. Raises it up to 10,000. Bousquet on the button. Makes the call. As does Antonio in the big blind.
Olivier here, open-ended straight draw to the 9 or the king. Also has overcards here against Jason. A queen would give him the best hand. What he doesn't want to catch is an ace, but he doesn't know that.
All right, Jack 10-8 on the flop. Turn card is a 3 of diamonds. Jason continues his control of the pot by betting 28,000.
It's an interesting bet from Jason. He's definitely betting for value here, but he's saying, I'm confident I have the best hand. I think you're likely drawing or have a worse 10, and I'm gonna keep trying to get value from you.
And Olivier has made the call of 28,000. You still think 10s are best if you're Jason?
It's hard to tell, but he likely believes that Olivier would raise the flop or turn if he had something like 2 pair or a set.
8 pairs on the river, and Mercier now checks.
Check.
Olivier wastes no time checking behind him, not gonna try to buy the pot.
Yeah, his ace-queen can actually be good some of the time there. That 8 is not a card that Jason is gonna bluff very frequently, and Olivier knows that it's a hard card for him to bluff and that there's numerous missed draws out there, so he was likely to get called.
Well, back-to-back losses in pots for the chip leader.
Alpha 8 is sponsored by ClubWPT.com. Fun, exciting poker you can play for free. Don't have the dough for a high roller buy-in, but still want to get in the game? Log on to ClubWPT.com and play for free. Become a VIP member and enjoy insider benefits, plus take a shot at a share of $100,000 in cash and prizes every month. Win at ClubWPT.com, but never lose a dime playing poker, guaranteed. Martin, this place is a perfect getaway for our high rollers, right by the beach, right next to the pavilion where we're playing Alpha 8. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, these are great. So we're standing in our Ocean Grove Villas. This is a 2-bedroom home, about 1,640 square feet.
Now, what's the price tag?
$1 million.
$1 million?
Yeah,
Wow.
But for our super high rollers, we actually have some even larger, more luxurious homes. I mean, we have homes that are right on the beach, homes that are nestled into the hillside or on the harbor, and they can go for $10 million and up.
A girl can dream.
You win enough Alpha 8s, Lynn, and it won't be a dream, right? Resuming our action now. Five-handed, and Olivier Bousquet, our chip leader, has just lost a couple of pots back-to-back, and that's something we haven't seen out of his seat.
Yeah, he's suffered a couple of setbacks recently, and it's essentially been a pure ascent during this tournament up until that point. I think Olivier is still going to execute the game plan he came in with, and I don't think he's going to be unnerved either. It's just a little frustrating whenever you're sailing along so smoothly and things start going wrong.
He still certainly has plenty of room to maneuver. The blinds are at 2,500 and 5,000. Not short stack by any stretch of the imagination. Couple of folds in front of Jason Mercier. And he is going to raise it to 12,500 with his 10-8 offsuit, just simply attacking the amateur stack of Tony Guglietti, who looks down at ace-7 suited and will call.
Get him, Tony.
12-5? Yeah, Tony never folding pre-flop with ace-7 suited. He doesn't fold many hands, certainly not that one.
Heads up to the flop, which is ace-6-8 and 2 diamonds.
Oh, sorry, I saw the button.
Yeah, he doesn't mind.
And Tony's so excited that he's checking out of position.
Mercier, unaffected by that out-of-position check, leads for 12,000 with a pair of 8s.
30,000.
And Tony's going to raise to 30,000.
Yeah, splashes a raise into the pot. We haven't seen much aggression from him, really pre-flop or post-flop. I expected Jason to be aware of that and just fold the flop, but I guess with the backdoor draws, he's a little married to his hand.
Here comes the turn card. It is a diamond. Guglietti makes the nut flush. No card that Jason can hit on the end will give him the best hand. He's drawn dead. And both players check.
Yeah, Tony's slow playing a little bit here, I guess hoping to extract another bet from Jason on the river, or maybe raise him if Jason bets himself.
Mercier not
And
betting. And
what what just happened?
That just happened. Tony Guglietti just checked the nuts in position heads up.
You can't call penalty for that.
Are you aware of what happened?
Yes, what?
You checked and you were last to act and you had the nuts.
Yes.
Is there a 100% agreement here?
Yeah, I don't think he should be penalized.
Okay. Normally there's a penalty involved here because you can't soft play the nuts when you're last to act. Okay?
Did you realize that you had the nut flush, that you had a flush?
Actually, I didn't.
Okay, that's what we thought. That's what we thought. Yeah, which is that's totally fine.
So you shouldn't be penalized.
If you had realized it and you wouldn't bet, it would be a little bit strange. But you didn't
realize. I'm
That's
sorry. I
no,
forgot
it's
that I
okay.
had two
You don't have to be
diamonds.
sorry.
I
No,
know
no.
I had this.
Of course.
Tony, I'm just letting you know that you're aware of it, okay? And we just want to make it clear this is a one-time warning.
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm not a professional.
I understand. That's why you got a warning and.
Well, if you had us fooled, that last hand gave it away.
So let's clarify what just happened there, Tony Dunst. There are rules in place to prevent what's known as collusion, and one of them is the one about checking on the river heads up in position with the nuts, correct?
That's right. When you have the nuts, that is the best possible hand on the board. It's a mandatory bet on the river when it's checked to you to prevent you from soft playing someone that you may have made some kind of agreement with. Now, none of us believe Tony Guglietti has done such a thing, and that was just an honest mistake from him, which is why the entire table and the tournament director agreed there should be no penalty.
Yeah, and I think that that's a good example of flexibility and not adhering to a rule which clearly would have been enforced in a manner that wasn't in the spirit of the rule right there.
Agreed.
So good job by the tournament director there, and of course our players for making sure to acknowledge that Guglietti was inadvertent in that check there. All right, there you have it. Antonio Esfandiari with pocket nines here. We'll send 14,000 into the middle. Fold from Jason Mercier, and Tony Guglietti with his king six offsuit is going to call from the small blind. Olivier does the same from the big, and Antonio will have position on these two, heading to a three-way flop, which is 2 6s and a jack. Tony likes it.
Yeah, Tony playing pretty loose here pre-flop, calling that raise with king six offsuit, but he flops 2 6s, and I'm hoping he realizes that this time and tries to get more money in the pot.
After a couple of checks, Antonio bets 15,000, and Guglietti raises to 40.
I expect Antonio to fold. He pays a lot of attention at the table, particularly to how people play, but no, Antonio does make the call.
That's interesting.
Surprising.
We just saw Tony take a line like this, check raising with top pair, so you have to think he's got at least that here, in which case your nines are cooked.
Yeah, and you don't beat a jack either, and I don't know what you expect Tony to just totally bluff with here.
Right, that board's so dry. Both players check the turn. The river is a 3. Guglietti's trip 6 is still best.
Tony back to his slow playing ways, but he knows to bet this river.
35,000. You think he checked the turn in the hopes that Antonio would hang himself?
Yeah, he either wanted Antonio to bet for him, or he wanted to make sure he gets another bet on the river.
What do you got, Tony?
What do you like to know?
Now, the problem with responding to Antonio's question is he's not really interested in the words, he's interested in the demeanor. And you saw that Tony there looked very relaxed. Sure, what do you want to know? It's confident demeanor, and I think Antonio will probably pick up on it.
35,000 chip decision for Esfandiari. Really struggling, but ends up making the correct decision, laying down the nines, a hand that I think you and I both agree he could have gotten away from on the flop.
Yeah, I think he should have just folded the flop. Tony has shown throughout the course of this tournament that he's not going to get that creative post-flop. He hasn't been very aggressive pre-flop, so if he starts firing at you, you can just believe him and let go, unless you've got a really strong hand.
Yeah, don't expect a tremendous amount of creativity out of the recreational seats, for sure. And 2 kings for Jason Mercier. They don't require much creativity.
We know the aces have really mistreated him on the alpha 8, but the kings perhaps will be a little better.
He's made it 12,000 to go. Tony picks up pocket sevens, makes the call. Queen 7 suited for Olivier. He wants to party.
Yeah, when Tony's at the party, Olivier wants an invitation.
Kathy has 6 tray offsuit, and she wants to play as well.
That's strange. We saw her fold King Jack last time when there was no raise to her, but here she just calls with a 6-3 offsuit.
Ace Jack 8 on the board. 2 kings still best, but of course, there's a reason you call them ace magnets. Always seems like you can't get kings to stay the overpair on a board. Oh my goodness, did we just see Kathy Laney fire 15,000 at this?
This is a very strange play to make. It's not that I don't think she should ever bluff here, but she has no equity in the hand. She's facing 3 other players, and this is a really coordinated board. You're just not going to get away with this very often, but she's against a hand that she could potentially bluff out if she keeps going.
9 on the turn, and Kathy checks. Jason checks behind her. Now, Mercier had 2 players behind him when he made the call on the flop. Wasn't scared of Kathy's lead, despite the fact that the ace was out there. And now we see a queen of clubs on the river.
So look, if she is going to bluff, this is the card to bluff. It completes the straight, it completes the flush.
Yeah, 20,000 is the number. It's almost like she's really wanting to get called with that bet sizing.
But it does work.
Wow. Kathy Laney with 6 tray offsuit. Complete air has just bluffed the pro.
We've seen her bluff twice in this tournament so far and gotten away with it both times. She gets a lot of credibility.
Well, I don't know how much longer we can continue to refer to the Texas Oil CEO as an amateur, because with plays like that, she's quickly earning our respect.
Now, Martin, this island must attract some pretty big boats.
Yeah, it does. We are right in the center of the primary cruising ground of the Caribbean. So we have a lot of really cool islands in close proximity. We have St. Bart's, St. Martin, all in a short distance of St. Kitts.
Now, what kind of boats are we talking?
Yeah, we're talking about the big ones, the mega yachts.
And what are they worth?
Typically, a brand new yacht costs about $1 million a meter, and a 150-foot vessel is 45 meters.
Wow, $45 million for a boat. That blows my mind. All right, now, there is some big machinery down this going. What are you playing with?
That's a dredge. It's basically like a vacuum cleaner. It's pumping this from the basin of the harbor, and it's moving it to different places.
What's it all going to look like when it's finished?
Yeah, well, once the docks are complete, we'll start adding in amenities like the shops and the restaurants. So it's going to be a large marina community when it's all done.
Do you get to go down there and play?
They don't let me down there.
As if this place couldn't get any better, now they're gonna open it up. And my guess is, Tony...
I hope they have room for my 50-meter yacht.
I hope they have room for my rowboat. Tony Guglietti, one of the 2 remaining recreational players in the field, is your new chip leader. He's got 425,000, the only other player other than Olivier Bousquet to lay claim to that in this event thus far. Couple of folds in front of Jason Mercier, who's got Queen 10 suited. Makes it 12,000 to go from the button.
No.
Letty out of the way. Ace 4 offsuit for Bousquet in the big blind, and he'll call for an extra 6,000. Take the flop heads up.
Check.
Checking in the dark. Flop is Ace Queen 7. Top pair for Olivier, middle pair for Jason.
Yeah, Olivier would have liked to have called a bet there, but Jason checks behind with his second pair and now turns trips.
Yeah, he's got the best hand. Second check from Olivier, and with trip queens, Jason Mercier reaches for chips and comes up with 14,000 of them.
When someone like Jason checks that flop, it's usually with showdown value, so Olivier doesn't feel good here with his ace on the turn, but he's not going to fold yet.
Calls the 14,000. Pot up to 60K. River card is a 3. Bousquet's playing the 7 kicker on the board. Checks a 3rd time. Mercier's got to come up with a figure he thinks he can get paid off on. 43,000. And you see the look on Olivier's face. It's almost as though he's surprised at the size of the bet. A little bigger than he expected.
I'm guessing he'll fold since he's essentially calling for a chop. He just looks going so well up until the last few hands that he played. And he does get away, so another well-played hand by Olivier. He actually minimized his losses there, but it still feels dirt.
Yeah, and the look on his face is certainly one that reflects his frustration.
I wasn't pretend tanking with a misflush.
You could have king 4 of hearts.
My hand was better than king 4 of
He
hearts.
had an ace 4, obviously.
Jason calls his exact hand.
How is that happening?
Just wondering when you're gonna finally call.
Well, my hand is better, I guess.
Can read people's hands. It is a skill that they've honed over the course of many hours on the felt. Fold it around to Olivier, who's right back in the saddle after that dust off. Limps in the small blind. Kathy says, run it. Air for Olivier, who checks it over to Kathy, and Kathy checks back with a pair of 8s. Board pair 17,000 out there. Bousquet is just gonna take a nonchalant stab at it for 10K, and Kathy makes the call.
Well, it doesn't work for Olivier here, but I like his bet. If he just checks, he'll lose to Jack High, Queen High, and King High, all of which are hands I expect me to fold to his bet. This time, she happened to have a pair.
You know, recreational player, but as the pros will tell you, Kathy Laney has garnered their respect.
This is actually my first time playing with Kathy. I've heard that she's kind of a regular in cash games down in Texas. When she does play hands, she tends to have...
You know, she's not making any big mistakes or anything.
She's a non-professional, so obviously as a professional, I'd rather play with a non-professional, but she's definitely, you know, not someone that you can just run over.
They say that when she plays hands, she typically has good ones, but we know Kathy has run 2 bluffs with absolutely nothing in this tournament, so she's doing a great job of taking advantage of her image. And she ace.
15.
A lot of times emotions get the better of amateur players, and ace-king offsuit. She's not giving anything away after the raise to 15,000 from Olivier on the button with ace-8. Kathy moves all in for 263,000, and Antonio goes all in as well, having woken up with 2 queens. Easy fold for Bousquet, and we've got a race.
Jeez. Pretty good hands.
Antonio is dead, but still at risk here as Kathy does cover him.
Good luck, Kathy.
Good luck.
Here comes the flop. Can she connect with an ace or a king? No, it's Jack High, and it's Rainbow. Esfandiari is loving it with his 2 queens, now a 3-1 favorite. To hold wheel.
Oh, gosh.
To make the best
there
hand, and
is
right
the
away,
deuce.
there it is.
Nice hand.
Sorry.
No, sorry. Nice hand.
Running 5 deuce.
That's the first reaction we've seen from her all tournament.
That is an incredible turn of events there. And the woman who's in for 200,000
Nice. Good luck, guys.
is going to eliminate the man who's in for
Just less than me.
$300,000, and that is bitter defeat for Antonio Esfandiari. He's probably going to feel a bit of a damper on his vacation spirits as he takes a dose of the red wall behind on the money bubble.
Oh, gosh.
Nice hand.
Sorry.
No, sorry. Nice hand.
How you feeling? You all right? Doesn't hit you too
That
hard?
hurt a little bit. I mean, that was a chip lead pot with 4 people left. And, you know, if I win that pot, I guarantee I'm going to cash. So, but whatever, it's a coin flip. You win some, you lose some.
You do.
Yeah.
Well, you played some awesome poker. Who's your pick on who's going to take this one down?
I hope it's Kathy.
You do?
Just to punish the pros.
So she can
Tony
use your chips
or
well.
Kathy, punish the pros.
All right, well, thank you so much for joining us, Antonio. And now we are on the money bubble.
Well, one thing we know for sure is Antonio is always a fan of punishment. His good buddy Phil Locke, often the recipient. This time, he's on the receiving end of it, courtesy of Kathy Laney, our new chip leader. Shortest stack at the table, ironically enough, belongs to Olivier Bousquet, who at one point was the wire-to-wire chip leader.
Yeah, fortunately for Olivier, he's still playing really well despite the frustration mounting, and he's not that far off the chip leader.
Yeah, if there's anybody who can deal with the sort of downward trend that he has been faced with over the last few pots he's played, it is Olivier Bousquet, a real veteran, a middle-aged wizard, as Antonio likes to say. Folded around to the small blind of Kathy Laney with 10-9 offsuit. She raises to 15,000.
Yeah, we haven't seen aggressive pre-flop, but it seems like she's changed gears since becoming our...
There's another 15,000.
This is a good flop for both players. Obviously better for Kathy, but Jason likes where he's sitting on
Why
this
a good flop
9-6 deuce flop.
Why a good flop for 2 5s?
Because he anticipates that she's raising Broadway cards or aces before the flop, and so a 9-high board looks pretty safe to his 5s, and when another 9 comes out, that's actually a very safe card for his hand. He just doesn't know she has trips.
Right, 3 9s on the turn for Kathy. She fired another 15,000, got called once more. Now a jack on the river. And with 94K in the middle, she fires 25,000.
Feels like this chip is going away if I throw it in.
He knows that Kathy leans on the tighter side, but also there's a lot of hands that she can have that have gotten to this river without any showdown value. That includes missed flush draws, missed straight draws, or even just overcards where she decided to run a 3-barrel bluff.
Is she capable of the 3-barrel bluff? That's what Mercier is asking himself right now.
Well, we know she's capable of some creative bluffs. The problem is she hasn't been caught yet at this tournament, so Jason doesn't know.
And she still hasn't been caught. She's got the goods yet again, taking another pot from one and adding to her chip lead. She's demonstrated some real comfort here at these stakes, and you gotta believe that that has everything to do with her high stakes experience playing alongside Bill Perkins and his buddies in the big Houston cash games that Bill hosts. You see Kathy right back at it, raising with Queen Jack offsuit to 15,000. Mercier's gonna give her another try, this time with 6-7 suited, but he'll have company. Guglietti calls with ace-deuce offsuit, the kind of hand that perhaps...
While now, and it looks like Olivier is gonna try and take advantage of that fact by putting the squeeze play on and 3-betting king-4 offsuit to 60,000.
So this has nothing to do with his hand here. He is just reading the situation and trying to take this pot down right here and now.
Exactly. He also thinks that if Jason had a strong hand, he'd likely just 3-bet Kathy to begin with, so he's confident that both players who just called probably don't have much.
And just taking his chances against Kathy's holding, and Kathy has defended calling. He'll be up against her, out of position, heads up to the flop, which is 8-8-9. Olivier's king high currently the better hand, but Kathy's got 2 overs and a gut shot straight draw.
It's actually a pretty good flop for Kathy. Now, many professionals would call this flop with the intention to bluff numerous turns and rivers, especially a diamond. I'm curious to see how she'll play it.
154,000 in the middle. Olivier bets 55,000. What will Kathy Laney do? She's gonna make the call. Pot up to 264K. Big one developing here between the pro and amateur. Turn card, a queen of diamonds. Kathy's now got the best hand.
Yeah, that is the worst card in the deck for Olivier's hand. If she had Jack-10, diamonds, or just something like Queen Jack, now she's ahead.
Yeah, given her pre-flop raising range after defending against the 3-bet and having called on the flop, that is an awful card for Olivier. He shuts it down. Kathy checks behind river, 8s and 9s. Olivier checking, and Laney content to let the pot stand where it is, checks, and will take down a big one.
I like that she checked behind there. I don't think she can get more value from a worse hand by betting, and on a 2-pair board with 3 to a flush out, if she does bet, she's really over-representing her hand.
The tough going continues for Olivier's stack, trending in the wrong. Kathy Laney is pushing ahead further into the chip lead.
Poker here in St. Kitts is the best, and now you can take the fun of Hold'em anywhere you go with WPT Express Poker. Grab your iPhone and download Club at WPT Express Poker from the App Store. It's fun and it's free. So what are you waiting for? Get in the game and play. There are so many gorgeous sights in St. Kitts, and one of the best ways to see them is on the St. Kitts Scenic Railway. Train. These days, the Sugar Train carries visitors eager to discover the island's scenic vistas and...
Even for those who aren't playing poker, there is certainly plenty to do here in... And Lynn Gilmartin has done just about all of it.
She is out there living the life.
Yeah, living the life is exactly what Laney is doing. She has 7,000 in front of her, over 300,000 better than the only other amateur left in the field, Tony Guglietti, who's got 380 with 252,000, and the one-time chip leader, Olivier Bousquet, at 1K. Guglietti looks down at pocket 10s, and he is going to raise it. We haven't seen pre-flop raising from him. The event, he makes it 16,000 to go. Bousquet's got 6s.
Yeah, I like that Olivier is just calling here. He knows that Tony prefers to limp pre-flop and that he's only raising his strongest hands.
Kathy Laney with queen deuce suited is gonna put some of her chips to work, calling 13,000 unexpectedly. Ace-9 off for Jason Mercier. He defends his big blind, family pot. And the flop is Jack 4 deuce. Couple of spades. Laney with deuces. Tony's 10 still best. 2 checks in front of him, and he checks as well.
Yeah, he's a little
for him. He fires 25,000 with effectively second pair.
He check min raised that 25,000 chip bet. This is a very odd play. I'm not sure it's going to accomplish what he wants, but it is going to throw off his opponent.
Milked out of both Olivier and Kathy's stacks after that check raise. And can turn a third spade in the form of an ace.
Yeah, that's not the card that anyone wanted to see, and it should down the action. Maybe Olivier will bet, but I don't think so.
2 checks in front of him. Check. He's got the only spade, but check. Makes a set of 10s. Olivier's got the best hand with the flush. But it's Kathy Laney with naked deuces that fires 50 grand.
Wow, she's betting small here, too. Such a small bet that looks like it's begging to be called.
Well, the action's on. It's so rare that you make a set in poker. He's gonna lay it down. Over to Olivier. Olivier lays it down. And look at this. The worst hand is just taking the pot. The chip leader continues to run clinic.
Kathy is 3 for 3 in getting
in the process of executing any
friends. Have fun and get all that important experience to improve your game, all from the comfort of your own home.
And if you really want to amp up your game and become a ClubWPT.com VIP member, you'll receive all exclusive benefits, including having access to some great poker resources like old episode WPT Alpha 8.
At ClubWPT.com, you can play for a part of $100,000 in cash and prizes every month.
So what are you waiting for? Log on to ClubWPT.com and check it out. Meanwhile, we're going to check out the leaderboard. One of these 4 players is going home empty-handed. Third place, good for $291,000, and currently the short stack belongs to Olivier Bousquet with $122,000, and the blinds at 3 and 6K. He is certainly concerned.
For 4-handed play today.
Button is on Tony Guglietti. Olivier and Kathy are in the blinds. Jason Mercier will be first to act. Jason is also on the chip leader's heels, and no longer the case as he is sitting on $230,000. Tony limping in with ace-deuce suited. Olivier limps as well from the small blind, and we'd act surprised, but this is what we've seen from Tony this entire event. Passive play.
Yeah, he's been very passive pre-flop, especially. Prefers to limp as opposed to raise. Check. We've seen him get a little out of line post-flop or even to raise in some situations where we would expect him to call, but pre-flop, he's a limper.
3 players took the flop. Olivier's 7s are best. Turn is a third heart in the form of an ace. Guglietti now has the best hand.
I don't like his check. There's 3 to a flush out and 2 opponents in the pot. I think he should try and get some value by betting.
10.
5 on the end, and Olivier fires 10,000.
Olivier at this point thinks he has the best hand and is betting for value, and he's going to find out that's not the case.
7.
Yeah, sure enough. Bousquet continues to experience frustration after frustration. And as you've mentioned, Tony, it's not that he's making massive mistakes of any sort. Things just aren't working out.
Yeah, he's still playing very well, but he ends up on the wrong side of so many hands. Of course, he lost that very dramatic hand where he flopped a straight against Kathy's 2 pair that she turned into a full house on the turn, but otherwise, he's just losing small and medium pots, 1 bet at a time or 2 bets at a time, and not making any major mistakes.
Ace-Jack suited on the button. He raises to 12,000, and Kathy Laney, his nemesis, calls from the small blind with 6-3 offsuit, and we've seen her use that hand before.
All in.
King-Queen suited for Mercier, and he's gonna move all in. Bousquet not going anywhere.
Ace-Jack.
Kathy mucks the cannibalize one another.
Could have just peeled, I guess. It's a pretty big button hand.
He's got a strong hand on the button with ace-jack suited, but it's not that much of a favorite over the king-queen suited of Jason
less
Mercier.
than a 3-2 favorite is Olivier with ace-jack suited against king-queen suited. Tournament life is at stake, and just such an unpredictable turn of events for the one-time overwhelming chip leader.
Oh, man, and there is the board that's all Jason.
Queen 5-9. Mercier now with the best hand, and Olivier needs some help. Deuce of hearts is not going to cut it. He has 1 pull at an ace. Otherwise, and 7 on the end seals Olivier.
You busted my nemesis. From Houston.
Bousquet, however,
That is the saddest thing I've ever seen at a poker tournament.
Hey, Olivier really was the odds-on favorite after having gone wire to wire as the chip leader. Both you and I certainly would have put our money on him finishing in the top 3 at the very least, and instead, he is sent home on the bubble, not the outcome any of us would have predicted.
Oh, Olivier, I'm so sorry.
That's all right.
I'm shocked. You must be shocked.
Not as much of a shock. You know, this happens actually, you know, not too rarely in tournaments where somebody gets a lot of luck early and builds up the stack, and then it's hard to maintain that level of luck. And if you get a little bit unlucky when the blinds go up, you know, it's not that uncommon that people can, but you know, obviously it's not fun to be the bubble, but that's just how it happens. I've had a good year, and I've been really fortunate, so I really.
You certainly have. Now, Kathy is our chip leader. What do you think about her play?